Chapter 441. Tang Zheng's imposing manner made many people lower their heads. Yi Xuanji saw this and sighed in his heart. Too many people in the Ye family had lived a peaceful life for too long. Their spirit had been completely worn out. They did not even dare to look directly at Tang Zheng. Others are interested in your head, but it doesn't mean that the Ye family is also interested. Do you know that because of you, the Yi family has been condemned by the public? How much pressure is that? Yi Tianming finally opened his mouth. Of course, he would not allow everyone to be intimidated by Tang Zheng's aura. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows and looked at Yi Tianming. Their eyes met, and Yi Tianming's imposing manner was not weak either. Oh, so you're saying that today you want to denounce me? Tang Zheng grinned and asked. If you think so, it's okay. Yi Tianming said. Yi Xuanji heard this and frowned slightly, but he did not stop him. Then I'd like to see how you're going to denounce me. Tang Zheng was interested and stared at him with a faint smile. Yi Tianming was about to speak, but Yi Tianlei interrupted and said, Brother, Tang Zheng did not do anything wrong to the Ye family. Moreover, he did not cause any direct losses to the Ye family. How can we denounce him? Yi Tianming stared at Yi Tianlei. Yi Tianming's feelings toward his younger brother were complicated. When he was young, Yi Tianlei was better than Yi Tianming in all aspects. He was even likely to replace him as the head of the family. Later, Yi Tianlei was injured and his qualifications decreased sharply. Because of various conflicts, he was even expelled from the Ye family. The pressure on Yi Tianming was finally lifted. Yi Tianlei grew up quickly and was almost the heir of the family. However, things did not go according to his wishes. Yi Tianlei came back and his skills improved by leaps and bounds. He even broke through the innate realm and was very likely to reach the guru realm in the future. Initially, Yi Tianming did not take it seriously. He was still dealing with business overseas. However, after hearing the report from his son and daughter, he realized that he had been too careless. This younger brother of hers was still so unexpected, especially when he found a son-in-law from who knows where and actually made a name for himself in the capital. First, he killed the Chu clan Xiantian expert, then he caused a ruckus at old Master Yan's birthday banquet and escaped unscathed. Then, there was the Martial Arts Society Assembly, and he was also inextricably linked to the martial arts sect in the Li Palace. These great achievements were too much for the eyes to take in, dazzling. However, all of this was not over yet. In the end, it was revealed that he was a cultivator. This bombshell really made everyone in the know dizzy. Seeing Tang Zheng's current performance, Yi Tianming's heart grew heavier. Obviously, after witnessing it with his own eyes, Tang Zheng was more extraordinary and difficult to deal with than he had expected. Yi Tianming had long regarded the position of the family head as his own. Now that Tang Zheng had jumped out, it was very likely that he would lose the position of the family head. Of course, he had to deal with it with 100% of his energy. This time, there was no doubt that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He had to use this opportunity to attack Yi Tianlei's momentum and drive him out of the competition for the position of the family head. You are too presumptuous to say that you did not cause any losses to the Ye family. Don't you see that many people have already stopped cooperating with us? Many people are secretly coveting the Ye family, hoping that the Ye family will collapse so that they can get a share of the profits. Yi Tianming said. Yes, Tianming is right. Our business has been greatly affected. This is a real loss of money. Someone immediately agreed. Among them, several elders kept nodding. Obviously they agreed with Yi Tianming. Yi Tianlei was not to be outdone and retorted, I said that this is not a bad thing. On the contrary, it is a good thing. It can let us see who are fence-sitters. In the future we will stop cooperating with these people. The Ye family does not need fence-sitters. We only need strong supporters and followers. Twisting words and forcing logic. Yi Tianming said disdainfully. Yi Meiyu rolled her eyes and said, Isn't Wu Zong specialized in dealing with cultivators? Such a cultivator is associated with our Ye family. Wu Zong will not let him go, let alone our Ye family. When the time comes, everyone will go to the Hall of Hell to gather. I think some people will regret it too late. These words expressed the thoughts of many people. In fact, the Ye family was not worried about the threat of the other families. They were mainly worried about the three great mysterious organizations. After all these years, the Ye family and the other great families were old rivals. They had fought countless times and were still alive. That meant that they had the ability to protect themselves. However, against the three great mysterious organizations, not to mention the Ye family, even the Yen family, the leader of the few great families, did not have much power to resist. This was also the question that Yi Xuanji was most concerned about. Therefore he did not say anything to stop them. Instead, he looked at Tang Zheng with burning eyes, as if he was also looking forward to his answer. Yi Tianlei was about to speak, but Tang Zheng beat him to it and said, Wu Zong is not omnipotent. In this world they can't kill whoever they want. Ever since the trip to the 100,000 mountains, Tang Zheng's fear of Wu Zong had completely disappeared. Even the most powerful patriarch of Wu Zong was not a match for Hundred Faces Star Lord. From this, it could be seen that in front of a strong enough cultivator, Wu Zong was not as big of a threat as one would imagine. The reason why Wu Zong was so powerful today was because the original cultivators of this world were too weak. It was difficult for them to fight against Wu Zong. When these words came out, everyone was dumbfounded. No one thought that Tang Zheng would say such a thing. After a short moment of silence, the hall burst into laughter. Haha, arrogant. This is the most shameless boasting I have ever heard in my life. Yes, I think he was scared silly by Wu Zong. He actually dared to speak such nonsense. Letting this kind of person stay in the Ye family is simply pushing the Ye family into the abyss of destruction. The Ye family must cut off all ties with him. We cannot become a sacrifice for his madness. Everyone spoke one after another, chattering endlessly. They were filled with righteous indignation as they reprimanded Tang Zheng. Even Yi Xuanji's face flashed with a hint of displeasure. Coincidentally, Yi Tianming saw Yi Xuanji's expression and was overjoyed in his heart. He thought that this Tang Zheng was too young and impetuous. He really dug his own grave. Tying the heavenly thunder together with him, did he feel that he was living too comfortably? Yi Tianlei also noticed his father's strange expression. He quickly coughed and said, Tang Zheng means that we cannot boost the morale of others and diminish our prestige. Tianlei, your explanation is too weak. Don't tell me that you are hell-bent on letting the Big Ye family accompany this madman to the grave? Faced with the criticism, Yi Tianlei's face turned red. Nonsense. You have no right to question Tianlei's loyalty to the Ye family. How could Feng Xinyang watch her husband be criticized? So she retorted without hesitation. You think that the martial organization is so afraid? I think you are the ones who are as cowardly as mice. Didn't Tang Zheng capture a martial organization captive? Yi Dingdang said indignantly. Martial organization captive? The others immediately grasped this key word. Many people were so scared that they almost fell off their chairs. It was as if their parents had died and their faces were ashen. This time, even Yi Xuanji could not help but grab onto the armrest of the chair. The veins on the back of his hand were exposed as he asked, What is going on? Dingdang proudly said, It is that despicable woman called Marshall. She is now Tang Zheng's captive. This made Yi Dingdang very happy. Marshall used to be insufferably arrogant, but now she has become Tang Zheng's captive. This made her feel a sense of honor. You are talking about the martial organization's sect leader's disciple Marshall? Yi Xuanji asked. Obviously, he knew more about the martial organization's internal information than the others. Yi Dingdang shook her head and looked at Tang Zheng blankly. Tang Zheng nodded, That's right. Yes. Yi Xuanji sucked in a breath of cold air and said with a serious face, Tang Zheng, you are in big trouble this time. The others were so scared that they broke out in cold sweat. Big trouble. You captured the martial organization's sect leader's disciple. How could he let you go? Not only you, but even the Ye family will be dragged into a desperate situation by you. No, the Ye family must immediately cut ties with Tang Zheng. The others all agreed and expressed their determination to cut ties with Tang Zheng and completely cut ties with him. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were also shocked when they heard this news. They still remembered the scene when they first met Marshall. Marshall was so domineering and awe-inspiring. She was even on par with Feng Xinyang. But even so, after hearing so many people's perverted impatience, Feng Xinyang's fiery personality was revealed again. She said without hesitation, All of you are as timid as mice. Just the mention of the martial organization makes you scared to death. I, Feng Xinyang, am not afraid. Back then, I even fought with this marshal and it was not that scary. Other than Yi Xuanji, the others did not know about this. Their faces changed. So the Ye family had already formed a grudge with the martial organization. What should they do? Feng Xinyang, don't talk nonsense. Yi Xuanji's face darkened and stopped her. Yi Tianming heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. The situation was good. He decided to add fuel to the fire and said, This matter concerns the survival of the Ye family. We can't be careless. I think that we should indeed cut ties with Tang Zheng. This is the most responsible way for the Ye family. In addition, someone must take responsibility for this matter and give everyone an explanation. Once this was said, everyone agreed. Tang Zheng looked on coldly and sneered in his heart. This Yi Tianming was really not a good person. First, he let the others build momentum. Then he seemed to push the boat with the current and made a conclusion. In fact, he was advancing step by step and forced Yi Tianlei into a desperate situation. Yi Tianlei's face turned red and he said firmly, "No." Yi Tianming pressed on step by step and said, "Tianlei, do you really want to drag the Ye family into an irrecoverable situation? What are your intentions?" "Nonsense, what intentions can I have?" Yi Tianlei retorted angrily. Seeing that the atmosphere was at daggers drawn, many people subconsciously shut their mouths. This was a power struggle between two brothers. Chapter 442. As soon as he said this, the whole world fell silent. Everyone looked at Tang Jing strangely. No one expected him to say this. The Ye family was a big family. Many members of the Ye family were used to being high and mighty. They looked down on ordinary people from the bottom of their hearts. When they heard this, they reacted and shouted angrily, "What did you say?" The corner of Tang Jing's mouth curled up. He smiled and said contemptuously, "Did I say that I know you? What do I have to do with you?" These words were like a fuse that ignited the explosives in their hearts. Many people stood up and glared at him. "Brat, this is the Ye family. It's not a place for you to behave atrociously. Today we'll let you know the power of the Ye family." Yes, let him know the power of the Ye family. How dare he insult the Ye family? He must be tired of living. Everyone was talking at once, endlessly reprimanding Tang Jing, but not a single person stood out to make a move. Instead, they were incessantly clamoring, their mouths flying everywhere. Yi Tianming was delighted. He thought that Tang Jing was young and impetuous. Did he really think that he was the winner just because he had a small advantage in words? This was exactly what he wanted. They had offended everyone. Then he could forget about climbing up the big tree that was the Ye family. Yi Tianlei would naturally lose a strong ally. He would be criticized and blamed by others. Yi Tianlei's family of three was also shocked. They looked at Tang Jing in disbelief. However, the three of them did not have the heart to complain. Instead, they were angry at the aggressive attitude of others. However, they understood that now that Tang Jing's relationship with the Ye family was strained, more people would insist on cutting ties with Tang Jing. This was not good for Tang Jing. Therefore, Yi Tianlei was about to say a few good words for Tang Jing. However, Yi Tianming beat him to it and said, "When has our Ye family been looked down upon like this? Our Ye family can't tolerate this kind of person. Everyone, am I right?" "Yes, we can't tolerate him." The others shouted in agreement. They were quite imposing. Not only that, some people blindly cover up for this kind of person and speak for him while ignoring the interests of the family. We can't just let it go. Yi Tianming finished speaking and stared at Yi Tianlei with burning eyes. The relationship between the two brothers had already reached a point where they were at odds with each other, so there was no need for them to maintain a seemingly harmonious relationship on the surface. Yi Tianlei, of course, understood the meaning behind those words and glared at them. Yi Tianming looked down and didn't even look at him. Yi Meiyu couldn't hide her joy and glared at Yi Dingdang and Tang Jing provocatively. At that time, Tang Jing shone brightly. Yi Meiyu also had the idea of using a honey trap to win over Tang Jing, so she ran to the school to find him. She couldn't help but rejoice that she didn't succeed. Otherwise she would have suffered a big loss. Since Yi Dingdang treated Tang Jing as a treasure, then let them be unlucky together. Yi Ke took a deep look at Tang Jing and was relieved. He was aware that his father's position as the head of the family might not be guaranteed, so he told his father to quickly return to the country. Now it seems that this move was very clever. Yi Xuanji looked down at everyone and stopped for a moment on his two sons. He was very clear about the thoughts of these two sons. In fact, this competitive situation was deliberately done by him. The Ye family didn't need flowers in a greenhouse. The situation in the future would become more and more complicated. In the end, who could inherit the position of the head of the family and support the Ye family? Yi Xuanji didn't have absolute certainty. Therefore, he must be using the competitive relationship to choose the best of the two sons. Now, it seems that the competition between the two has reached a white-hot stage because of the appearance of Tang Jing. As for the support of most people for Yi Tianming, Yi Xuanji saw it clearly. Of course, this was also a matter of course. After all, if Yi Tianming hadn't found so many supporters in the family over the years, then his ability would be too weak. Yi Xuanji would directly look down on him. Yi Tianlei was unable to restrain his anger. He stood up and said, "If you can't tolerate Tang Jing, then you can't tolerate Yi Tianlei. Tang Jing is my son-in-law. I naturally have to protect him to the end." Yi Tianlei's tone was very firm, which surprised many people. After all, in the face of so many people, he could still insist on his opinion. This required a huge sacrifice. Does Tang Zheng have such great charm? Is it worth Yi Tianlei to protect him at all costs? Yi Tianlei didn't think about whether it was worth it or not. The two sides had known each other for a long time. Tang Zheng was branded in Yi Tianlei's heart step by step, and his weight was getting heavier and heavier. Yi Tianlei valued and even admired Tang Zheng from the bottom of his heart. Such a rising star couldn't be buried, so he had to fight for an opportunity for him. Feng Xinyang also stood up and stood beside Yi Tianlei. This couple was exceptionally united. They didn't hesitate to go against everyone else for Tang Zheng. The couple looked at each other. Feng Xinyang pursed her lips and smiled. How can you leave me out of this kind of thing? I want this handsome young man as my son-in-law. If others want to ruin my good fortune, they have to go through me, Feng Xinyang. Looking around, her eyes stayed on Yi Tianming for a long time. Yi Dingdang was moved. These were her parents. For her happiness, they didn't hesitate to go against the rest of the family. This required great courage and decisiveness. Tang Zheng was also very emotional. What did he do to deserve this family of three to protect him like this? At this moment, he had no reason to stand behind indifferently. Therefore, he also stood up without hesitation. He smiled at the two of them and said, Uncle Yi, Aunt Feng, thank you. We're family. There's no need to be so polite. Don't worry, we're here. Feng Xinyang patted Tang Zheng's shoulder and said heroically. Tang Zheng nodded and faced the others, saying, It seems that you didn't understand what I said earlier. I don't know most of you and have nothing to do with you. Therefore your attitude is worthless to me. Brat, you're talking nonsense. Someone shouted. Tang Zheng waved his hand and said, I haven't finished yet. Don't jump out so quickly. I only have relations with 3 people here. These 3 people. Tang Zheng pointed at Yi Dingdong's family of 3 and turned to the others. He continued, As for you, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Therefore you have no right to tell me what to do. You can't wait to cut off your relationship with me. In fact, I have nothing to do with you. Why should I cut off my relationship with you? Tang Zheng's words had basically offended the other party, including Yi Xuanji. However, this was not because of Tang Zheng's impulse. He had already thought it through on the way here. His relationship with the Ye family was actually not that complicated. The link that maintained this relationship was Yi Dingdong's family of 3. As for the others, they were insignificant in Tang Zheng's eyes. He didn't care about their attitude. Yi Qianlei's expression suddenly changed. He quickly pulled Tang Zheng's clothes and whispered, Tang Zheng, don't talk nonsense. I'll deal with it. Yi Tianming laughed in schadenfreude. He was really useless. Tianlei was destined to fail to find such a son-in-law. Yi Tianming did not give the other party a chance. He could not wait to make things difficult. He pretended to be indignant and said, They look down on our Ye family. If we rush to claim kinship with them, won't we become a laughing stock? Our Ye family's reputation will be ruined. How can we face the ancestors of the Ye family? Yes, Tianming is right. Many people agreed. Yi Tianlei wanted to argue, but he heard Yi Xuanji, who had been silent all this time, roar, Enough! All of you shut up. Everyone was as silent as cicadas in the winter. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. His mood was even more complicated. Cultivators were a double-edged sword. There were many miraculous things about them. Just like how Tang Zheng had the life-continuing pill, there were also many drawbacks. That was, it would make the Ye family the target of public criticism. One gain and one loss. How to balance this was Yi Xuanji's biggest headache. However, there was no standard answer to this question. Originally, Yi Xuanji wanted to see Tang Zheng's attitude. If he sincerely pledged his allegiance to the Ye family and revealed the many secrets and miraculous things about cultivators to the Ye family, then Yi Xuanji would be able to protect Tang Zheng. After all, the benefits were too great. However, he did not expect that Tang Zheng would not give him the chance. He directly rejected him and cut off all ties with the Ye family. He did not even hesitate to offend so many people from the Ye family. If Yi Xuanji continued to stubbornly protect Tang Zheng, the others would have a lot of opinions. This was not beneficial to the unity of the family. Compared to the possible benefits, this was too risky. The gains did not make up for the losses. In addition, the relationship between Tang Zheng and the martial sect had already reached its climax. He had even captured the martial sect's captive. This was a ticking time bomb that could explode at any time. It could also affect the Ye family. Therefore, at this time, Yi Xuanji had already made up his mind. He would completely cut off all ties with Tang Zheng. As for the relationship of fiancé and whatnot, There was no formal ceremony. It was just a verbal relationship. It was easy to cut off all ties. Seeing his father's gloomy face, Yi Tianlei panicked in his heart. He did not give up and said, "Father, Tang Jing is young and impetuous. Our Ye family is indebted to him." Before he could finish, he was interrupted by Yi Xuanji with a wave of his hand. "Enough." Then he turned his gaze and stared at Tang Jing. Tang Jing calmly dealt with it. Their eyes met, but he was still not at a disadvantage, which made Yi Xuanji extremely surprised. In fact, Yi Xuanji was only at the first level of the Grandmaster stage, which was one level lower than Long Xinyuan. How could Tang Jing be afraid of him? Therefore, whether or not he had the help of the Ye family did not make much of a difference to him. If he allowed the other party to get involved in his own affairs, the other party would use this as an excuse to threaten him. In addition, the most important point was that Tang Jing did not know what kind of situation he was about to encounter. Whether it was dangerous or not, he could not be so selfish as to drag Yi Dingdong's family of 3 into this, otherwise he would be too selfish. Chapter 443. Tang Jing's good intentions could not be revealed to outsiders, so he resolutely told Yi Xuanji, "Tang Jing, from now on, you are not allowed to take even half a step into the Ye family." Tang Jing grinned and said, "I couldn't ask for more." He cupped his hands towards Yi Tianlei and the other two and said, "Uncle Yi, Auntie Feng, Ding Ding, I'll be leaving first." He turned around and walked out the door. Little White laid on his shoulder, not to be outdone, and bared its fangs at the others and barked twice. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at each other, not knowing what to do. "Wait a minute." Yi Dingdang rushed up and grabbed Tang Jing's hand. "Someone won't let you take even half a step into the Ye family, then I won't enter this house either, we'll leave together." Yi Dingdang did not have a sense of belonging to the Beijing Ye family, so seeing Tang Jing being chased out of the door and facing the impending danger alone, she was quite dissatisfied. She was a person who dared to do what she wanted. Others could ignore Tang Jing, but she couldn't. The warmth of his embrace at the airport still lingered in her heart, so she didn't hesitate to take this step. This step was very big for everyone, but Yi Dingdang did not care. If she had to choose between Tang Jing and the Beijing Ye family, she would choose Tang Jing without even thinking about it. Moreover, going through trials and tribulations together was something she had always dreamed of. Didn't the matchless hero and the heroine have to go through such trials and tribulations to make this relationship so precious? Therefore Yi Dingdang had a deep romantic gene in her bones. The others were shocked by Yi Dingdang's actions. In their eyes, this was simply crazy. She was actually willing to break ties with the Ye family for an outsider. This was treason. Yi Xuanji's face instantly darkened. His gaze became extremely sharp as he coldly stared at Yi Dingdang and asked, "Dingdang, do you know what you're saying?" Due to Yi Dingdang's sudden display of talent in martial arts, Yi Xuanji had already placed Yi Dingdang as a member of the next generation that he would focus on nurturing. Now that he saw her unhesitatingly wanting to follow Tang Jing, how could he not be angry? What Yi Xuanji cared about the most was the loyalty of others to him and to the Ye family. Why was Yi Tianlei able to return after being kicked out of the family for so many years? His loyalty to the Ye family was one of the most important criteria. Yi Dingdang raised her head and said, "Of course I know. Since I, Yi Dingdang, am Tang Jing's fiancé, of course I have to follow him." "Nonsense, what fiancé? That's just a joke, how can you take it seriously?" Yi Xuanji retorted. Yi Dingdang pouted and snorted, saying, "To others it may be a joke, but to me, Yi Dingdang, this is the golden rule. I am Tang Jing's fiancé, no one can change that." After saying that, she tightened her grip on Tang Jing's hand. Tang Jing felt that her palms were already sweating. To make such a decision and say such words, it was truly commendable for her. Looking at her beautiful face that was just inches away, Tang Jing felt warmth in his heart. He thought to himself, what did I do to make her so infatuated that she would pay such a huge price? His relationship with Yi Dingdang was not something that could be explained in one sentence. No one knew when the relationship between the two had undergone a qualitative change. All of this happened naturally. It seemed abrupt, but it was also logical. Being contradicted by Yi Dingdang like this, Yi Xuanji was so angry that smoke almost came out of his 7 orifices. The veins on the back of his hand that was grabbing onto the chair's armrest were bulging. Yi Tianlei knew his father's temper very well. His face turned pale as he hurriedly explained, "Father, Dingdang is young and doesn't know any better. Don't lower yourself to her level." Although he could stand firmly on Tang Jing's side, he would not be like Yi Dingdang and leave the Ye family. He had a strong sense of belonging to the Ye family. Otherwise, he would not be so obsessed with returning to the Ye family after so many years. Yi Xuanji unhappily said, Tianlei, look at how you educate your daughter. You don't need to tell me how my dad educated me. Yi Dingdang retorted. She had never been in awe of Yi Xuanji's authority, and back then when she was in the ordinary balance she dared to go against him. Now, for the sake of Tang Jing, she did not have the slightest bit of hesitation or fear. The others were dumbstruck as they looked at Yi Dingdang. The majority of the people did not know much about Yi Dingdang. Seeing him directly contradict the head of the family, their mouths were about to be stuffed with a large egg. Ever since Yi Dingdang came to the capital, she had been completely defeated. In front of Yi Xuanji she was like a mouse that had seen a cat and was about to hide. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Yi Xuanji was more satisfied with Yi Dingdang than with Yi Meiyu. Yi Meiyu was just worried that she wouldn't have a chance to counter the other party, but now that she had bumped into the muzzle of the gun, how could she let it go? Thus, Yi Meiyu immediately reprimanded him righteously. Yi Dingdang, what are you saying? You are a member of the Ye family, how can you abandon the Ye family for an outsider? You are truly too disappointing. This kind of disloyal, unfilial and unfilial person is simply the shame of the Ye family. Tang Jing immediately frowned. These people were getting more and more out of hand. He immediately stood up and stood in front of Yi Dingdang to protect her, saying, Dingdang's matters are not for you to interfere, scram to the side. Yi Dingdang's eyes were brimming with joy. Such harsh words were definitely domineering, causing Yi Meiyu's fair face to immediately turn red with anger. How can the Ye family allow you to speak rudely? Yi Tianming suddenly shouted and jumped up from his chair, attacking Tang Zheng at lightning speed, slapping him hard on the cheek. If this slap hit, Tang Zheng's teeth would probably be knocked out. It would definitely be very embarrassing. The others did not expect Yi Tianming to suddenly attack, but it was too late for them to help. Yi Tianlei only had time to shout, stop, but Yi Tianming had already arrived in front of Tang Zheng. Tang Jing did not move, he did not even let go of Yi Dingdang's hand, his eyes gradually turned cold, and the other party's palm quickly became bigger in his eyes. Boom! A flame erupted from Tang Jing's shoulder and flew directly towards Yi Tianming, the blazing temperature instantly disappearing from the cold winter in the hall. Yi Tianming suddenly saw a flash of fire in front of him, and a heat wave rushed towards him. He quickly rolled back in the air trying to avoid the flame attack. However, he was too close to Tang Jing. Although he avoided most of the flames, his eyebrows were burned by the flames. After a burning smell, his eyebrows disappeared. He landed awkwardly and immediately felt a burning pain in his eyebrows. He wiped it with his hand and it was bald. He was ashamed and angry, but he did not dare to rush forward again. Instead, he stared at the culprit in horror and said, Monster? The culprit Xiaobai grinned. It was extremely cute and harmless. However, after seeing the power of the flames it spat out, no one dared to think that it was harmless. This little guy was too scary. Tang Jing patted Xiaobai's head and praised, good job. Since Tang Jing's identity had been exposed, there was no need to hide Xiaobai's identity. This time he could use Yi Tianming to practice. He caught Yi Tianming off guard and made him embarrassed. Yi Tianming had been pampered since childhood and had never been played and embarrassed like this. He was almost fuming with anger and immediately shouted, surround him. He is not allowed to walk out of the Ye family today. A few people immediately rushed out from the crowd and blocked the door of the hall. Yi Tianlei immediately shouted, what are you doing? What are we doing? Humph, Tianlei, you invited the wolf into the house. You can't escape the blame this time. Yi Tianming spoke with conviction. He turned to look at Yi Xuanji and said, Father, we can't let Tang Jing leave. He is a huge hidden danger. If we don't get rid of him today, he will destroy the Ye family in the future. Big brother, don't be an alarmist. You are slandering me. Yi Tianlei retorted. I'm slandering you? You can ask the others if what I said makes sense. If we don't get rid of him today, are we going to wait until he kills the Ye family in the future? Moreover, the Wu Zong will be very happy to get rid of him. The Yin family has the support of the Li Palace. If the Ye family gets the support of the Wu Zong, we will be able to suppress the other families and compete with the Yin family. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yi Tianming's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Tang Zheng's eyes were cold. This Yi Tianming was really not easy to deal with. He was insidious enough. He wanted to use him as a bargaining chip to claim credit for the Wu Zong, so as to exchange benefits for the Ye family. However, if Yi Tianming knew that the master of the Wu Zong did not hesitate to use Wu Zong's innocence to save Tang Zheng, he would not be so confident. The atmosphere changed in an instant. Feng Xinyang did not hesitate to stand in front of Tang Jing and said, "If you want to touch my son-in-law, you have to ask me first." Yi Tianlei was in a dilemma. He looked around and was at a loss. He could only persuade earnestly, "Everyone, if you have something to say, don't hurt the harmony. Tang Jing is a guest from afar. Is this how our Ye family treats guests?" "Ah, guest? We don't admit it." Yi Tianming pressed on step by step. In the end, even Yi Ke stood up and stood on the same line as Yi Tianming. They were the father and son soldiers. There were many innate masters in this room, especially those few old men. They were the few remaining innate masters of the Ye family. They were the mainstay of the Ye family, except for Yi Xuanji. Yi Tianlei did not think that Tang Jing would be a match for so many people. Even if they joined forces, they would not be a match. Yi Tianlei regretted it. If he had known earlier, he would not have brought Tang Jing to the Ye family. Otherwise, he would not have fallen into such a desperate situation. Yi Tianlei was not reconciled. He looked at Yi Xuanji, who was still sitting calmly, and said, "Father, we can't let these people do whatever they want. This will ruin the reputation of our Ye family. Moreover, Tang Jing has no enmity with our Ye family. Doing this is against morality." Yi Xuanji's face was uncertain. He weighed the pros and cons. Yi Tianming's suggestion was indeed a good idea. Chapter 444. Tang Jing was very smart. Seeing that Yi Xuanji was silent, he laughed and said, "Ha, interesting. I know what you guys are thinking. You want to get rid of me, right? Then go ahead. Let's see if you have the ability to do so." Tang Jing walked past Yi Tianlei and stood up, looking around, the corner of his mouth slightly raised, full of disdain. Yi Xuanji remained silent. He had yet to make his final decision, but Yi Tianming could not wait any longer. He was prepared to make the first move to gain the upper hand. What's done cannot be undone, so he shouted and attacked Tang Jing once again. This time he was very alert and was especially vigilant against Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai grinned and was about to spit fire again. However, Tang Jing stopped him and said, "Xiao Bai, you don't have to do anything. Let me test him." Little White nodded, jumped down from his shoulder, and stood by the side to provide support. Tang Jing walked towards Yi Tianming as if he was taking a stroll in the park. Yi Tianming was overjoyed when he saw this. He was very afraid of Xiao Bai. Since Xiao Bai was not going to help him, he was very confident that he could deal with Tang Jing. A huge fist went straight for Tang Jing's head. Tang Jing did not hesitate and lightly pointed his finger. Poof! The air vibrated and a sharp sword energy rippled out. Yi Tianming's punch missed, and Tang Jing's finger was already pointing at his chest. That finger was like a sharp sword that could cut through his hair. Yi Tianming finally sensed the danger. When the finger pierced his chest, he quickly retreated with the tip of his foot. Poof! A stream of blood gushed out from his chest. He was injured. "Ah!" the others exclaimed. This was too unbelievable. Yi Tianming was the second strongest person in the Ye family. He was a 5th grade innate stage expert. How could he be injured in one move? This scene seemed unreal no matter how they looked at it. But it really happened. Swish, swish, swish. Almost instantly, everyone's eyes were focused on Tang Jing. Everyone suddenly realized why his aura was so strong. It turned out that he was hiding his strength. Yi Tianming covered his chest. Fortunately, he retreated in time. The wound was not deep. Otherwise, his heart might have been pierced by this finger. His face had turned pale. He stared at Tang Jing in disbelief and said, "How can you be so powerful?" Tang Jing smiled but did not speak. He could see the opponent's strength from this move. Therefore, he was not afraid of him and said, "Don't you want to fight? Then let's continue. You are dilly-dallying. Are you afraid?" As soon as he finished speaking, he took the initiative to launch an attack. Yi Tianming's body was covered by Tang Jing's finger shadows from top to bottom. Yi Tianming could only respond in a hurry. People with discerning eyes immediately saw the clues. Tang Jing's attack was very sharp. Yi Tianming was forced to receive the attack. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang looked at each other. They already knew that Tang Jing's cultivation was equivalent to a 5th grade innate stage expert. But now that they saw it with their own eyes, they understood how powerful this realm was. They also knew that Yi Tianming was a 5th grade innate stage expert. However, when these two 5th grade innate stage experts were compared, the difference was obvious. The others were shocked. Yi Ku and Yi Meiyu's throats were a little dry. Yi Tianming had a very high position in their hearts, but he was forced into such a situation. Yi Xuanji's expression fluctuated as he was unable to express his shock. He was very clear on what level Tang Jing was at in the past. In just a few short months, he was actually able to suppress his precious son that he had raised for decades. The gap was too big. Could it be that cultivators were really so invincible? He no longer dared to waver and weigh the pros and cons. He shouted, "Stop." He stood up from the chair and struck out with his palm. The sound of wind and thunder was loud. He passed Yi Tianming and struck towards Tang Jing first. Bang! Tang Jing's finger touched the other party's palm. He couldn't help but take a few steps back. His blood and qi were surging. He took a few deep breaths and calmed down. After all, Yi Xuanji was a first-grade innate stage expert, and Tang Jing was a fifth-grade innate stage expert. Without a treasure, he was still not Yi Xuanji's opponent in a one-on-one fight. "Tang Jing, you can leave. I won't keep you here. We have nothing to do with each other in the future," Yi Xuanji said in a deep voice. He had already made a decision. Tang Jing had such a cultivation at such a young age. His future achievements were limitless. However, the dangers that cultivators faced were also immeasurable. Yi Xuanji didn't dare to tie the Ye family and Tang Jing together. He also didn't dare to really get rid of Tang Jing, so the only choice was to sever ties with him. Tang Jing guessed the other party's thoughts. He sneered and turned around to leave. Xiao Bai jumped on his shoulder again. "Tang Jing, I'll go with you," Yi Dingdang said without hesitation. "Dingdang, stop. He can go, but you are a member of the Ye family. You are not allowed to walk out of this door." Yi Xuanji stopped her. "I want to go." Yi Dingdang unhesitatingly held onto Tang Jing's hand as she pouted her lips. Yi Xuanji's expression became more and more ugly. He couldn't accept that he couldn't control his granddaughter. Seeing that he was about to flip out, Yi Tianlei had an idea. He quickly protected Yi Dingdang and advised, "Dingding, listen to Grandpa. Let Tang Jing leave here first." It was impossible for Yi Tianlei to be like Yi Dingdang and step out of the house without any hesitation. It was not easy for him to return to the Yi clan, so how could he let all his hard work go to waste? However, he couldn't let anything happen to Tang Jing and his daughter. So, appeasing Yi Xuanji's anger was the most appropriate thing to do. "I won't. Since this family doesn't welcome Tang Jing, then there's no need for me to stay." Yi Dingdang didn't compromise. Yi Tianlei revealed an awkward expression and said, "Dingdang, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. This matter needs to be discussed at length. Don't worry, your mother and I support you and Tang Jing being together. But you have to pay attention to the way you do it." Feng Xinyang looked deeply at her husband. Of course, she understood her husband's good intentions. Although she had a fiery personality, she wasn't a brainless person. Since Tang Jing could leave safely, then they shouldn't continue to fight. It wouldn't be good for anyone. "Dingdang, listen to your father. How can I just watch such a good son-in-law fly away? Don't worry, we'll take care of everything. Let Tang Jing leave first." Feng Xinyang persuaded. Yi Dingdang bit her lips and remained unmoved. Tang Jing patted the back of Tang Jing's hand and said, "I'll go first. We'll talk about it later." He also understood the situation at the moment. If Yi Dingdang insisted on doing things her own way, it would put her parents in a bad situation. Yi Tianming would definitely be happy to see it happen. He wouldn't do things that would hurt his relatives and make his enemies happy. Seeing that Tang Jing had spoken, Yi Dingdang looked at her parents' eager eyes. She finally lowered her head and said, "Then? Okay, I'll go to school to find you tomorrow." After Tang Jing left, the hall boiled up from the silence. It was like a market. Many people seemed to wake up from a dream and blamed Yi Tianlei's family of three. Yi Tianming had a cold smile on his face. Just now he didn't defeat Tang Jing. Instead, he was forced to retreat step by step, which greatly damaged his image. He had to get back at Yi Tianming. Yi Tianming became more vigilant towards his brother who had been separated from him for more than 10 years. This strong competitor for the position of the head of the family must be kicked out as soon as possible. Otherwise, there would be endless troubles. Yi Xuanji watched Tang Jing's figure disappear from his sight from afar. Then he retracted his gaze and glanced at the crowd. He said, "Shut up. Don't you think it's embarrassing enough?" Everyone immediately kept quiet and looked at Yi Xuanji timidly. Yi Xuanji said, "No one is allowed to spread what happened today. In addition, announce to the outside world that the Ye family and Tang Jing have nothing to do with each other anymore." Everyone nodded in agreement. "Father, Tianlei didn't care about the safety of the Ye family in this matter. This kind of reckless approach will harm everyone. This kind of thing should be stopped," Yi Tianming said sternly. "This matter ends here. No one is allowed to mention it again." Yi Xuanji didn't support Yi Tianming. Instead, he gave the order resolutely. Yi Tianming swallowed back the words in his stomach and nodded resentfully. The crowd dispersed. Yi Tianlei and his family returned to the house. Yi Dingdang immediately complained, "They are burning the bridge after crossing the river." When they needed Tang Zheng, they tried their best to rope him in. Now that they found out that Tang Zheng is a cultivator, they cut off all ties with him. This kind of approach is too disgusting. Should Dingdang lower your voice? The walls have ears. Yi Tianlei persuaded. Yi Dingdang was unmoved. She said, "So what if they heard? What am I afraid of? If you didn't stop me just now, I would have left directly." Dingdang, do you think it's that easy? Do you think the old man will let you leave the Ye family in front of so many people? If that's the case, the Ye family will lose face. The old man will definitely fight with Tang Zheng. At that time, the one who will suffer will be Tang Zheng. Feng Xinyang said earnestly. They didn't know that Tang Zheng was able to escape unscathed from Long Xinyuan. Otherwise they wouldn't be so worried. Yi Dingdang's eyes lit up. She suddenly understood. You mean to say that we should let Tang Zheng leave first and ensure his safety before we leave? It won't be that easy to leave. The Ye family is not a place where people can come and go as they please. Feng Xinyang said. Yi Dingdang revealed a disappointed expression and muttered, "It's not like I wanted to come." Yi Tianlei said awkwardly, "Dingdang, I know that you have been wronged, but this is your home after all. You can't just throw a tantrum and leave like that. Your mother and I will fully support you and Tang Zheng, but you should also understand our difficulties." Yi Dingdang lowered her head and said, "All right, as for cutting Tang Zheng in two, that is someone else. I will not abide by such a decision." Yi Dingdang had finally taken a step forward in her relationship with Tang Zheng, so how could she give up halfway? Feng Xinyang smiled and patted her head, saying, "Silly girl, of course we know what you're thinking." On the other side, Yi Tianming was flustered and exasperated as he broke a teacup and growled, "This Tang Zheng definitely cannot stay in this world, he will become our stumbling block." Yi Ku and Yi Meiyu nodded. "Dad, then what should we do now?" Didn't he boast shamelessly that he had captured a martial sect's captive? If this news gets out, there will definitely be people interested in him, especially the people from the martial sect. Let's see how he deals with it. Yi Tianming sneered. Chapter 445. After leaving the Ye family, Tang Zheng also took Nana with him. The little girl held onto Tang Zheng's hand and snickered as she chattered on and on. Just now she did not enter the hall, so she did not know what happened in the hall. She was just happy that she could be with Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng did not take the Ye family's attitude to heart. After all, the Ye family did not pose much of a threat to him. After eating dinner with Nana outside, the sky darkened. The winter in Beijing was bitterly cold. The little girl's face was red from the cold, but she still had a smile on her face. "Nana, your mother is not by your side. Do you miss her?" Tang Zheng asked. Nana nodded her head. "Yes, but now that Big Brother is with me, Nana is very happy." "Then where are we going to stay tonight?" "Wherever Big Brother goes, I will go," Nana said. "Okay, Big Brother will take you to see an older sister tonight." Tang Zheng's heart moved as he prepared to take Nana to see Lu Qingmei. After being separated for so long, he did not know how she was doing. "Okay, I guess it must be a beautiful older sister." Nana rolled her eyes and said mischievously, "How do you know it's a beautiful older sister?" Tang Zheng asked curiously. "Big Brother is so handsome, there must be a beautiful older sister by your side. This is what Mom said, birds of a feather flock together," Nana said seriously. Tang Zheng could not help but laugh. He pinched her pink cheeks and said, "Ha, Nana is the smartest." Nana pursed her lips and was not modest at all. "Everyone says so." Tang Zheng dialed Lu Qingmei's number. The other party's voice was a little noisy, but when she heard Tang Zheng's voice, she was obviously very happy. She said that she was playing outside and asked him to go directly to her. Tang Zheng stopped a taxi and went straight to their destination, which was a bar. Tang Zheng frowned and looked at Nana, saying, "Nana, why don't we wait outside?" This was not a place for children. Tang Zheng did not want to lead a child astray. Nana looked at the brightly lit bar and the men and women going in and out. She shook her head and said, "This is a bar. I heard that there are many beautiful sisters inside. Let's go in and take a look." "There's nothing to see here." Tang Zheng smiled bitterly. "That's not true. In the past when I was in Changheng City, there were many rich young masters who went to the bar to play. I heard them mention it before, but I haven't been there yet, so I want to take a look," Nan said in all seriousness. The little girl seemed to be filled with curiosity towards everything. Looking at her hopeful eyes, Tang Zheng softened. He said in his heart that with him protecting her, no one could hurt her. So he agreed, "Okay, I'll hold you. Don't move." Nana excitedly nodded. Nana is the most obedient. Tang Jing carried Nan Nan into the bar. The waiter glanced at them but did not stop them. It had not been long since the sky turned dark and the bar was not at its busiest yet. Even though the music was a bit noisy, it was not unbearable. Nanan's eyes were wide open as she turned her little head and kept looking around. She was really like a curious baby. At this moment there were not many customers. Many seats were still empty. But there were also many customers. Many people shuttled back and forth, exchanging drinks. Tang Jing glanced around and saw several people sitting in a booth. Lu Qingmei was one of them. She carried Nana with Xiao Bai on her shoulder and walked towards the booth. The atmosphere in the booth was not bad. Several people were drinking with each other. Lu Qingmei calmly sat in the corner with a wine glass in front of her. "Qingmei," Tang Jing called out. Lu Qingmei suddenly raised her head. Her face blossomed with joy as she said, "You came." When the others saw this, they curiously put down their wine glasses. They looked at Lu Qingmei's expression and Tang Jing's sudden appearance. Qingmei, who is this handsome guy? You're so happy just because he came? He can't be your boyfriend, right? Seeing Lu Qingmei's face blossoming with a smile, one person could not help but ask. "Hello everyone, my name is Tang Jing." Tang Jing politely introduced himself. He still did not know who these people were. "Oh, this handsome guy is very young. Could he really be Qingmei's boyfriend?" Someone asked. Lu Qingmei's face revealed a trace of embarrassment. Tang Jing faintly smiled and naturally said, "Yes." "Wah, Qingmei, you're too much. You actually have a boyfriend. You're taken. I don't know how many boys' hearts are about to break." Someone loudly said in an exaggerated manner. "Yeah, look at their faces. AI, it really is a beauty that attracts people. Qingmei hasn't been in our company for long and she's already been targeted by you guys." Several boys bitterly smiled, but no one answered. Instead they stared at Tang Jing. Although Tang Jing's appearance was slightly immature, his aura was calm and not frivolous. This made people not dare to underestimate him. Tang Jing suddenly realized that these people were Lu Qingmei's colleagues. When he went to Dianan, she was still looking for a job. It seemed that she had found one now. This must be a department party. They were all young people, so they came to the bar. However, with Lu Qingmei's cold personality, the atmosphere of the bar may not be suitable for her. This could be seen from her sitting alone in the corner. Since Tang Jing generously admitted it, although Lu Qingmei was a little shy, she did not refute. She faintly smiled and said, "Then you guys have fun. I'll go first." "Wow, how can you be in a hurry to leave? Since you're here, sit down and have a few drinks. We're all young people. Let's make friends." A young man in a trench coat stood up and said. Lu Qingmei hesitated and looked at Tang Jing. Tang Jing slightly smiled. Since these people were her colleagues, they would be together day and night in the future. There was no need to make the relationship stiff. So he pushed the boat with the current and said, "Well, let's sit down and have a few drinks." "Hey, who is this little sister? Qingmei, is she your daughter?" Someone asked. Lu Qingmei made a big red face and said, "No, how can I have a daughter?" Tang Jing remained calm and collected. He glanced at the audience. There were 5 women and 5 men, but the quality of the 5 women was uneven. Moreover, there was obvious jealousy in the words of several women. Because Lu Qingmei was much more beautiful than them. A company suddenly had such a beautiful new colleague, naturally they did not like it. Nana heard this, raised her pink face and said, "Sister Qingmei is the most beautiful here. I would also like to be her daughter." Children's words carried no harm. Nana only spoke her truest thoughts. But in an instant the other women's faces did not look good. They coldly said, "This really is a superficial society. Not only men but even children are so snobbish. I really don't know how her parents taught her. Yeah, watching her grow up. What will happen when this kind of brat grows up?" Someone agreed. The several women had clearly formed an alliance and were united against a common enemy. Nana did not know what to do. She felt wronged and said, "I'm not a brat. Mommy said to be a good baby. Nana is a good baby." The little girl pouted. She felt so wrong that her eyes turned red. Lu Qingmei's face became even colder. She said, "She's still a child. As adults, is it appropriate for you to say this?" "Che, she praised you. Of course you're happy. Maybe you purposely told her to say this behind our backs to make us lose face. We're not as beautiful as you, but there's no need to humiliate people like this." "I didn't call her." Lu Qingmei denied. "Who knows? Anyway, we can't see," the few people said. Seeing this, the man in the trench coat quickly tried to smooth things over. He advised, "Everyone calm down. We're all colleagues in the same company. We'll see each other often. Everyone should be united and friendly." A woman smiled charmingly and said, "President Chen, we're not stirring up trouble. Everyone knows that colleagues should help each other. That's why we organized this gathering." Who would have thought that Lu Qingmei would call a child to say such hurtful words? "I already said that I didn't teach her to say this." Lu Qingmei corrected her again. "If you didn't teach her, then it must be your little boyfriend who taught her." The other party did not give up. Lu Qingmei's face was as cold as ice. Tang Jing grabbed her hand and signaled with his eyes that she did not need to be angry. He said, "The child said a big truth and you're about to jump up like this. It seems that she really poked at your sore spot." "What did you say?" The several women immediately stood up. They were like tigresses that were about to flip out. Tang Jing faintly smiled. "Did I say anything wrong? You guys really aren't as pretty as Qingmei. Can't people say that? Could it be that you guys think that she's easy to bully? That's where you're wrong. I hate it when people bully my girlfriend." The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. The several women were so angry that their faces turned red. They disdainfully said, "Brat, who do you think you are? You dare to boast so shamelessly? I don't think I'm anyone, but you're even less so. Don't be so shameless. We're all colleagues. Is there a need for you guys to gang up on Qingmei like this? Our business is none of your business. Our President Chen didn't even say anything. Since when did a brat like you have the right to say such things?" The several women were aggressive. The man in the trench coat, President Chen, looked deeply at Tang Zheng and advised, "Everyone, don't say too much. We came out to play for fun. Why get angry? Come everyone, let's toast and forget about our enmity with a smile." "Who does he think he is? He and I can forget about our enmity with a smile. He's not worthy." One of the tall women disdainfully said. Just now it was this tall woman who spoke. It was clear that she was the core of these women. In fact, she was not bad looking. She could be considered a common beauty. She used to be the flower of the office, but ever since Lu Qingmei entered the company, her edge had been completely suppressed. Her light became dimmer and dimmer. That was why she organized this gathering. She hoped that she could take advantage of the large number of people to humiliate Lu Qingmei and attack the other party. Chapter 446. When Tang Jing heard this, his face wasn't as cold as ice. Instead, he laughed mockingly. His opponent was too weak and he had no interest in being entangled with her. However, he couldn't ignore her. This kind of woman needed to be taught a lesson. The weaker you were, the more energetic she would be. In the future, it would be harder for Lu Qingmei to survive in the company. "Tang Jing, let's go. Ignore her." Lu Qingmei frowned and said unhappily, "Hey, why are you in such a hurry to leave? If you can't win in an argument, are you still a man?" The tall woman clamored as if she had taken stimulants. Tang Jing patted the back of Lu Qingmei's hand, indicating for her to calm down. "Wait a moment. If this matter isn't resolved, no one can be at ease." Lu Qingmei knew his strength and advised, "There's no need to lower yourself to her level." The tall woman immediately jumped up when she heard this, thinking that the other party was looking down on her. She angrily said, "Who do you think you are? Why don't you lower yourself to my level? Today I'll show you my power." Just as she finished speaking, a few burly fellows walked over and roared, "Yao Yao, who made you angry?" The tall woman beamed with joy when she heard this. She pointed at Tang Zheng and shrieked, "Brother Meng, it's this brat. He actually looks down on me." "Oh, there are still people who look down on my Yao Yao in my territory. Hee hee, you must be tired of living." While they were talking, a few strong men had already surrounded the entrance to the booth and were eyeing them like tigers eyeing their prey. The people in the booth were frightened and looked at them in alarm. Chief Chen smiled and said, "Everyone, this is just a joke. Please don't mind it." The tall woman said arrogantly, "Brother Meng, this is our company's Chief Chen. He's my boss." Brother Meng had a shaved head like a 100-watt light bulb. His face was fierce and there were tattoos on his neck. Brother Meng nodded at Chief Chen and said with a fake smile, "Chief Chen, Yao Yao is working under you, so you have to take care of her. If anyone dares to bully her and make her unhappy, then I will also make that person unhappy. Do you understand?" Director Chen smiled awkwardly and hurriedly nodded in agreement. In an instant, many people in the booth looked at the tall woman in horror. Some even smiled at her. Many people were glad that they didn't offend her. It turned out that she had a background in the underworld. The tall woman raised her nose to the sky and said arrogantly, President Qin is usually very good to me. It's just that some people are blind. As he spoke, he deliberately glanced at Lu Qingmei, not concealing the smugness in his eyes. Meng Ren's face darkened as he asked, "Which idiot is it? I'll teach him a lesson." His gaze turned and immediately locked onto Tang Zheng and Lu Qingmei. Especially when he saw Lu Qingmei, his eyes flashed with intense lust. There's still a beauty here. Could it be that this beauty made Yao Yao unhappy? Meng Ren licked his lips and said with a fake smile, "Brother Meng, this beauty is already taken. Look at the little brat beside her. He's her boyfriend." The tall woman curled her lips and said. Brother Meng laughed strangely, "Beauty, this little brat's hair isn't even fully grown yet. What's so good about him? A mature man like Brother Meng is more interesting. Try it once and I guarantee that you'll have an endless aftertaste." Hearing these unbearable words, Lu Qingmei's cheeks flushed red. She said fiercely, "Please show some respect." Brother Meng shook his head and smiled mischievously, "I'm very respectful." Slap. Without any warning, Lu Qingmei raised her hand and slapped Brother Meng's face. The slap was incomparably loud and clear. It was like a clap of thunder in everyone's ears. Everyone was stunned and looked at Lu Qingmei in disbelief. No one had expected that she would make a move. Lu Qingmei was really too angry. If this could be tolerated, what else could be tolerated? *CK stinking woman. You dare hit me? I'm going to deal with you today. Brother Meng reacted. His face was burning with pain and his face was flushed red. He raised his hand and wanted to grab Lu Qingmei. However, another hand suddenly blocked in front of him. It was as if he had hit a hard rock and he staggered back. What was going on? Before he could react, he saw Tang Zheng standing in front of Lu Qingmei. He only saw Tang Zheng winking at Lu Qingmei and praising, "Good hit." Lu Qingmei embarrassedly said, "It's all because his words were too unpleasant. That's why I hit him in anger." At this moment, her shyness and her valiance formed a strong contrast, but it made people even more excited. A beauty with a personality was more likable than a beauty with a soft and delicate appearance. The eyes of the several men present lit up as they stared at Lu Qingmei. "This kind of person is asking for a beating," Tang Zheng lightly said. His words were so shocking that the others subconsciously wrinkled their brows. They thought that they were in big trouble this time. Brother Meng seemed to have awoken from a dream as he angrily roared, "*Seek brat, today I'll take care of you as well. Your girl is mine. Go." The several strong men were like tanks as they rushed towards Tang Zheng. These people were the people in charge of the bar. They had a few tricks up their sleeves. It was easy for them to deal with ordinary people. The other people's faces instantly turned pale. A few timid people hid in the corner. That Chief Qin also subconsciously shrank back. He did not dare to stand up and speak up. Lu Qingmei did not move at all. It was as if she did not see the other side rushing over. Nana continuously waved her arms and shouted, "Big brother, hit the bad guy, hit the bad guy." Tang Jing rubbed her little head and said, "Then Nana, close your eyes." Nana shook her head, "No way, I want to see Big brother hit the bad guy. Big brother is a hero." "Alright then, watch carefully." Tang Jing's movements were very slow. It was as if he really wanted her to see clearly. He gently punched out as if it was in slow motion. However, the opponent had no way to dodge. She felt a pain in her ear. Her body flew out of the booth and smashed into a table outside. Following the same pattern, the other people also flew out like cannonballs, causing screams to ring out in the bar hall. The few people who originally thought that Tang Zheng would be beaten to the point of lying on the ground begging for mercy revealed an expression of disbelief. What was going on? Why was the one who flew out the courage while Tang Zheng was safe and sound? Brother Meng was a person with good eyesight. His pupils suddenly shrank. He secretly cursed and quickly retreated. He shouted, "Brat, don't go. Brother Meng will deal with you later." But before he could take 2 steps, he found that his body could not move. He shouted as if he had seen a ghost, "What did you do to me? Let me go." This was because Tang Zheng had used the body-locking technique. For such a small character, it was impossible to arouse his interest in making a big fuss. The others saw that Brother Meng kept shouting but his body could not move. Each and every one of their expressions was very strange. It was as if they had seen a ghost. However, they did not dare to move. They only stared at Tang Zheng. "Nana, you see this big bad guy can't move. What do you think we should do?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. Nana pinched her small chin and thought for a moment. Then she said, "Beat him." "Ah, good. Beat him. Nana, come. You punch him." Tang Zheng said earnestly. "Can I really hit him?" The little girl was restless. Of course. Nana is very powerful. If you don't believe me, you can try. Tang Jing grabbed Nana's small hand and punched Brother Meng's chest. Bang. It was as if Brother Meng was hit by a heavy hammer. He cried out miserably and flew out. He only stopped after hitting 7 or 8 tables. Nana looked at her small fist in disbelief. She cheered and said, "Wow, Nana is so powerful. Nana is so happy." Tang Jing revealed a kind smile and said, "Nana will be even more powerful in the future." This time, one of the main tasks of returning to the capital was to teach Nana the ways of cultivation. This was something that Mu Hongyan had asked him to do before. He had never carried it out. Now was the right time. Using this matter to let Nana have a direct impression of power. The little girl was clearly very excited about power. Her small eyes were shining. Being born in a large family like the Long family, she was influenced by what she saw and heard. Thus, teaching her the ways of cultivation was a natural thing. This punch was of course not the ability of her small fist. It was Tang Zhang's strength that sent the other party flying. But the others did not understand. They all opened their eyes wide and looked at Nana in shock. This was completely beyond their imagination. Tang Jing turned around and looked at the tall girl. The tall girl was so scared that her whole body trembled. She quickly hid in the booth and said timidly, What do you want to do? I'm telling you, don't act recklessly. I'm a woman. What kind of man is hitting a woman? I've never been gentle to bad women." Tang Jing smiled as he walked over and grabbed the tall girl's hair. Let go of me, let go of me." The tall girl turned pale with fright and screamed. She kept struggling but to no avail. When the others saw this, no one dared to stop him. That Chief Qin even took the opportunity to hide behind the others. Just now he looked down on Tang Jing. But now he no longer had the courage to stand up for him. "Since you keep calling him Brother Meng so affectionately, then you should go accompany him." Tang Jing casually threw the tall woman out and she also flew out. Brother Meng struggled on the ground for a long time before finally getting up. But then he saw a person flying over and fiercely smashing into him. He could not help but scream and lay on the ground again. The tall girl turned pale with fright and screamed. Her hair was disheveled, but Tang Jing was merciful and did not hurt her. Tang Jing stared at the others and said, "Qingmei is my girlfriend. I'm very protective of her. If someone dares to deliberately make things difficult for my girlfriend, I will be very angry. I guarantee that he will regret it." I wouldn't dare. Lu Qingmei works hard and is the focus of the company's training. That Chief Qin originally had some thoughts about Lu Qingmei, but at this moment he didn't have the slightest bit of thought. Although he had some power in the company, he obviously didn't have any confidence in front of Tang Jing. Very good. Tang Jing nodded approvingly. He pulled Qingmei and said, "Qingmei, let's go home." Lu Qingmei seemed to wake up from a dream. She walked out of the booth with a sweet smile on her face and walked towards the door. Chapter 447. When this roar sounded, everyone subconsciously stopped what they were doing and looked towards the door. They saw 20 or so fierce people rushing in, and the person in the lead had a scar that ran from the left side of his face to the right. It was especially ferocious and terrifying. Brother Scar is here. This kid is going to suffer a big loss. Yeah, he dares to cause trouble in Brother Scar's place. He must have eaten a leopard's guts. Some people whispered, but no one walked away. Instead, they opened their eyes wide and prepared to watch a good show. The several colleagues in the booth also seemed to have suddenly drunk stimulants. They came back to their senses and leaned over the booth to watch attentively. "Brother Scar, you finally came. This kid came to cause trouble." Brother Meng pushed the almost scared out of her wits to the side. He climbed up and fiercely shouted. Scarface's eyes were small but very bright, like the eyes of an eagle. He stared at Tang Jing and coldly said, "Kid, you really have guts. You actually dare to cause trouble in my place. Who sent you?" Tang Jing acted as if there was no one around and held Lu Qingmei's hand as they walked towards the door. He said, "No one has the qualifications to send me." "Oh, you're quite tight-lipped. Did Blackie send you here?" Scarface questioned. "I don't know any hazy. A good dog doesn't block the way. Get out of the way." Tang Jing expressionlessly said, "You dare to call me a dog? Brother Scar will cut you today." Scarface flew up and directly swept towards Tang Jing's head. This kick was fast and ruthless. It was the essence of leg techniques. Moreover, it was Scarface's tried and tested killing move. Seeing that the leg was about to hit Tang Jing also flew up and kicked. Fast as thunder, the momentum was like a swan. It directly hit Scarface's leg. Bang! Scarface flew out and just happened to crash into the booth where Chief Chen and the others were sitting. The group of people were shocked and screamed, "Deal with him." When the other henchmen saw this, they clamored and pulled out the machetes they always carried with them, and started to attack Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's eyes turned cold as he used one hand to cover Nanan's eyes while the other hand smoothly snatched a machete. Shwa shwa shwa, the machete's afterimages flew out as a cold light flashed. Pitiful cries rose and fell one after another. Not long after, more than 20 people fell into a pool of blood, groaning and screaming. The others retreated, looking at Tang Zheng as if they had seen a ghost. Seeing Tang Zheng's gaze sweep over, many people subconsciously lowered their heads, not daring to look at Tang Zheng. When Brother Meng saw Tang Zheng looking over, his throat went dry. He was so scared that his legs went soft and he lay on the ground again. He didn't dare to say another word. "Let's go." Tang Zheng and the others swaggered out of the bar under the watchful eyes of the crowd. No one dared to stop them. Tang Zheng let go of his hand. Nana pouted and said, "Brother, did you just beat up those bad guys?" "Of course." Tang Zheng grinned. "Wow, that's great. Brother, I want to be as powerful as you when I grow up." Nana waved her small fist and said eagerly, "Oh, then how about I teach you?" Tang Zheng took the opportunity to say. Nana hurriedly nodded. "Okay, Nana wants to be strong and become a superwoman." "Haha, good, Nana will definitely become more powerful than a superwoman." Tang Zheng tenderly stroked Nana's head. They returned to Lu Qingmei's residence. "How was your trip to Dianan? Why did it take so long?" After comforting Nana to sleep, Lu Qingmei couldn't help but ask. "There was a little accident. My identity as a cultivator was exposed," Tang Zheng said. Then what should we do?" Lu Qingmei's face suddenly changed. She already understood what this meant. Tang Zheng put his arm around her shoulder and comforted her. "Don't worry so much. There's nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, my strength has increased a lot. It's not so easy for the average person to kill me." Seeing that he was full of confidence, Lu Qingmei was a little relieved, but did not forget to remind him. "You must pay attention to your safety in the future. Your new job doesn't seem to be going well." Tang Zheng changed the subject. Lu Qingmei sighed and said, "In fact, it's not bad at work. It's just that it's so unpleasant tonight. If you're not happy, just change your job. Don't force yourself." Tang Zheng didn't want to dare her too much. She was an independent person. She should have her own life and circle. Tang Zheng didn't intend to tell her what to do. "I know. Anyway, I'm very happy right now. I'll see you later," Lu Qingmei said indifferently. Tang Zheng nodded. After tonight's incident, naturally no one would have any bad ideas about her or secretly make things difficult for her. After all, they had to weigh the pros and cons. "I've been gone for so long. Did you miss me?" Tang Zheng turned over and pressed her down. He sniffed the fragrance of her neck and softly asked. Lu Qingmei heard this and her heart moved. Her body began to soften as she whispered, "I didn't miss you. I've been gone for so long without any news. Is it because there's a beauty in Dianan that you forgot about home?" Tang Zheng's mind was filled with thoughts of martial arts. However, he didn't bat an eyelid and flatly denied it. "There's no beauty as attractive as you, Teacher Lu. You're not allowed to call me teacher." Lu Qingmei's heartstrings trembled. When she heard the word teacher, there was a strange feeling that touched her heart. Teacher Lu is shy?" Tang Zheng's finger lightly brushed across her body. He felt her body temperature gradually rise and slightly trembled. "Don't." Lu Qingmei stopped him. "Teacher Lu, let's have a health class." Tang Zheng strangely laughed and moved. The room suddenly became as warm as spring. The next day, Tang Zheng woke up early in the morning and made breakfast. The three people ate breakfast together. He brought Nana and Xiaobai to school. After many days of separation, the school was still brimming with a youthful atmosphere. Even the cold winter was unable to disperse this atmosphere. Before he left, he was still a famous person in school. Wherever he went, he would attract the gazes of many people. However, after so many days of silence, everyone returned to their calm state. Although there were still people looking at him, they weren't as hot as before. He was familiar with the way and avoided the dormitory manager's detection range. He brought Nana to the dormitory. However, he discovered that the three people were still hiding under the blankets. He couldn't help but mischievously yell, "The instructor is here." As soon as he said this, the three people sat up as if it was a conditioned reflex. Sinosaurus even directly stood up and hit the ceiling with a bang. Sinosaurus rubbed his head and jumped around in pain on the bed. He angrily said, "Which bastard is randomly yelling so early in the morning? Are you trying to kill me without paying with your life?" Before he finished speaking, he stared straight at Tang Zheng and cried out in alarm. "Old 3 is back. Old 3 is back." With a ping sound he jumped down from the bed. His movements were incomparably agile as he pounced towards Tang Zheng like a big black bear. Wang Shiji and Zhou Yan also got up and looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. They quickly climbed down the stairs and rushed up to hug Tang Zheng. "Hey, stop right there." Nan Nan was a mischievous child, so she shouted at the top of her lungs. The three of them seemed to have activated the brakes and stopped dangerously in front of Tang Zheng. Sinosaurus smiled and said, "Little beauty Nana, why are you here?" When Tang Zheng brought Nana to school, he was already familiar with the brothers in the dormitory. Nana put her hands on her hips and said seriously, "Of course I'm here to study. If you are all lazy people. I got up early but you are still in bed." The three of them were speechless and their faces flushed red. Wang Shiji mumbled and explained, "We don't have any classes in the morning. Let's not talk about this for now. Old 3 is back, we need to celebrate. Old 3 must have suffered a lot outside during this period of time. Look at how dark his face is. Second brother, your observation is really meticulous. Could it be that a day without seeing each other is like 3 autumns? You want to be gay with old 3, right?" Zhou Yan teased. Sinosaurus's face hardened and said, "I am a straight man, moreover I already have Lu Xian, how could I fall in love with someone else? I am a dedicated man." Tang Zheng's eyes lit up and teased, "Yo, second brother, your progress is quite fast. You took down Lu Xian so quickly?" Back then, during the dormitory friendship of 502 and Yi Ding Dang, Sinosaurus had already taken a fancy to Lu Xian. Who would have thought that during the period of time when Tang Zheng was away, the two of them would actually achieve a positive result? Sinosaurus scratched his head and said, "Of course, don't you see who I am? Although I'm not as popular as third brother, I'm still the second most popular person in our dormitory. Fourth brother was chased by Li Fangfei, and Lu Xian was chased by you. As for third brother, you're even less of a match for him. Who knows how many beauties he has?" Wang Shiji mercilessly took over his bottom line. Sinosaurus was not angry and said embarrassedly, "Boss, you don't have a goal yet. I'm someone who has already gained something, you don't have the qualifications to laugh at me. I plan to study hard in university and then find a good job after graduation. I don't want to waste my time in a relationship." Wang Shiji said seriously, "Moreover, the cost of a relationship is so high, I can't afford it. TSK, you can spend less money in a relationship. Whenever you like a girl, our dormitory will mobilize everyone to help you take her down." Sinosaurus patted his chest and said. Tang Zheng laughed and looked at Zhou Yan. Zhou Yan's family background was not ordinary, and even until now, Tang Zheng still had not figured out his background, but Li Fangfei's eyes were fiery gold and actually chased after him. However, it seemed that Li Fangfei did not succeed. 3, where have you been all this time? Professor Qi also came back, but you disappeared without a trace. We went to ask him, but he stammered. We thought something bad had happened." Zhou Yan asked with concern. "I'm fine. I was just delayed by some things. Is Professor Qi alright?" "Sai, let's not talk about it anymore. When Professor Qi came back, it was as if he had changed into a different person. Furthermore, his classes are being replaced by other teachers. I wonder what he's busy with right now. Right now, this teacher's lecture is not interesting at all. It's far worse than Professor Qi's." Sinosaurus muttered. Wang Shiji nodded in agreement with a serious expression. Chapter 448. Tang Zheng asked his roommates to take care of Nana. Then he went to look for Qi Shaoan. Fortunately, Qi Shaoan was still sane. Otherwise, Tang Zheng would feel guilty. However, Qi Shaoan looked at Tang Zheng strangely. At first it was joy. Then it was surprise. He looked around nervously as if he was afraid of something. "Professor Qi, why are you so careful?" Tang Zheng asked with a smile that was not a smile. Qi Shaoan patted his chest and said with lingering fear, "I thought you wouldn't come back. You don't know that after we came back, everyone was quarantined and interrogated. They were only released after a few days." Tang Zheng nodded and said, "What a big fuss. It seems that the 100,000 Hills incident is very important." "Of course it's important. This is the biggest discovery in the archaeological world. Of course it's beyond our abilities." Qi Shaoan looked gloomy. "All the so-called big discoveries in the archaeological world over the years are nothing compared to this one. This has overturned traditional knowledge. Haha, It's because you've overturned tradition that the higher-ups put you under strict scrutiny and gave you a gag order, right? Tang Jing said calmly. How did you know? I guessed. That's an accurate guess. The higher-ups are afraid that I'll spill the beans, so they don't let me attend classes. Instead, they let me focus on my research. Actually, this is good. This is a big discovery. It's enough for me to study for many years, Qi Shaoan said. Tang Jing frowned slightly. So it's the higher-ups' order that you don't attend classes? Yes. In order to avoid contact with too many people, I even suspected that I was being watched for a while. But it seems that I'm too sensitive. Qi Shaoan smiled sheepishly. Tang Jing could not bring himself to smile. Obviously, his suspicions were true. The officials took this matter so seriously that they would really keep an eye on the archaeological team. However, it was obvious that they strictly obeyed the order and did not tell anyone about what happened in the 100,000 Hills. That was why the surveillance was lifted. By the way, why did you come out? I thought you'd be in danger. Tang Jing said, of course there was danger, but I was lucky enough to escape with my life. Qi Shaoan patted Tang Jing's shoulder and lamented, it's good that you're alive. At that time, I really thought that I was going to die in the 100,000 mountains. I don't care about my old bones, but it's a pity that you died at such a young age. Tang Jing grinned. I won't die so easily. You didn't meet anyone from the government when you left the 100,000 mountains? From the looks of it, they won't sit idly by and do nothing, right? Tang Jing gave him a thumbs up and praised, Professor Qi's foresight is amazing. Of course I met them, but they can't do anything to me for the time being, so I guess I'm safe. Qi Shaoan sucked in a breath of cold air and sighed. Oh, when I first met you, I really didn't expect you to be so extraordinary. You can actually reach a balance with the government. However, I still want to remind you that there are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. To the government, you're still an unstable factor. They won't sit idly by and do nothing. You have to be careful. Tang Jing was very touched. He said, thank you for your concern, Professor Qi. I understand. Tang Jing already had a plan. As long as he and the Wu tribe quickly became stronger, the government would naturally be more afraid of them and would not dare to act rashly. This was a kind of deterrence just like nuclear weapons. The nuclear powers would not really attack anyone with nuclear weapons, but they would send a message to the world that they had such a powerful weapon. Therefore they would be confident in their words and not dare to do anything to them. Otherwise they would fight to the death and no one would have an easy time. Since Tang Jing had achieved this level of deterrence, he could rest easy for the time being. Professor Qi, I need to trouble you with something. Tang Jing said, I want to study the information related to the ancient Emperor Qi Yu and the Battle of Zhuolu. Qi Shaoan smiled proudly. His eyes narrowed into slits. He said, I knew you would want to know these things, so I've already started to study them. Tang Jing was overjoyed. Qi Shaoan's knowledge in archaeology was much deeper than Tang Jing's. With his research, Tang Jing would definitely be able to find out the truth about the ancient era. Professor Qi, have you heard of the term, stairway to heaven in your research materials? Tang Jing asked as an idea came to him. The stairway to heaven was of great importance. Tang Jing already had 30 pieces. He was eager to know the whereabouts of the other dozens of pieces. Although Tang Jing had not decided whether or not to bring the cultivators back from the skies beyond, at least there was this possibility now. He had to control this possibility in his own hands, otherwise, if it fell into the hands of someone with evil intentions, then the world would really be in chaos. Stairway to heaven? Qi Shaoan scratched his white hair and fell into deep thought. Suddenly he rushed to a bookcase next to him. There were many large books on it. Many of them were books that Tang Jing had never heard of before. They were obviously professional books. Qi Shaoan pulled out a thick book from the pile and quickly flipped it open. Tang Jing found that this was not a complete book, but a book made up of many sheets of paper glued together in a messy manner. These sheets of paper were very ancient. They were obviously ancient books. Qi Shaoan carefully flipped through them. Suddenly he stopped. His eyes lit up and fixed on a piece of paper. Tang Jing hurriedly went over and saw that he was staring at a piece of paper. No, it was not a piece of paper. It was a piece of animal skin. There was a picture on it. The top of the picture was surrounded by clouds and mist. It was like a fairyland, but there were steps extending from the clouds. They extended straight down and landed on a snow-covered mountain. Mount Buzhou. Tang Jing could not help but exclaim. This mountain was too familiar. Wasn't it the Mount Buzhou in the depths of the prehistoric heavenly tomb? You know this mountain? Qi Shaoan was shocked. Tang Jing nodded. Yes, this mountain is called Mount Buzhou. According to the picture, this mountain towered into the clouds as if it was connected to the sky. How tall is that? Qi Shaoan exclaimed. Tang Jing recalled the scene of Mount Buzhou. Although Mount Buzhou was very tall, it was far from reaching the clouds. It was a little different from the picture. However, Mount Buzhou was too mysterious. There were also mysterious restrictions. He could not judge it according to common sense. This is the stairway to heaven. Tang Jing pointed at the steps and said firmly. He did not expect that there were written records about Mount Buzhou and the stairway to heaven. However, it made sense. In ancient times, Mount Buzhou and the stairway to heaven were not a secret. It was only after the 100-Change Star Lord destroyed the stairway to heaven that the attention on Mount Buzhou declined. After that, it disappeared completely from people's sight. In ancient times, there must have been records about Mount Buzhou and the stairway to heaven. However, most of them should have disappeared in the long river of time. Fortunately, this piece of beast skin was left behind. I accidentally found this when I was flipping through ancient books. I did not know the information in it, so I just collected it. When you mentioned the stairway to heaven just now, I thought of this picture in a flash of inspiration. I didn't expect to get it right. Qi Shaoan's face was flushed red. He was even more excited than Tang Jing. Tang Jing, why are you looking for the stairway to heaven? Qi Shaoan asked curiously. It's very useful. Tang Jing did not say it out loud. After all, this was a very important matter. It might not be a good thing to tell him. Instead, it might harm him. This stairway to heaven has been destroyed. However, the cornerstones of the stairway to heaven are called black stones of heaven and earth. They are scattered all over the world. I want to find these black stones of heaven and earth now. Black stones of heaven and earth? The stairway to heaven is made of black stones of heaven and earth? Qi Shaoan was very surprised. Tang Jing was even more surprised. It was impossible for ordinary people to know about the black stones of heaven and earth. Even Tian Chanzi had never heard of it. It was very strange that Qi Shaoan knew about it. Qi Shaoan could not wait to say, I've seen the words black stones of heaven and earth in an ancient book. Tang Jing slapped his head. Qi Shaoan was very knowledgeable. He was like a human computer. He had memorized so much obscure knowledge. In fact, archaeology required a lot of complicated knowledge. It included astronomy, geography, history, and many other aspects. Of course, Qi Shaoan knew a lot of things. This is a book that introduces the majestic imperial city in the capital city. It introduces the black stones of heaven and earth. It is said that the black stones of heaven and earth are stones that are born from the essence of heaven and earth. They are spiritual and have many magical effects. This was a new piece of information. Tang Jing listened with great interest. When this majestic imperial city was built, many mysterious things happened. It is said that every time a palace was about to be completed, it would collapse for no reason. Many people died. The emperor was furious. He ordered his officials to solve this problem. Later, he found several pieces of black stones of heaven and earth and buried them underground. After the palace was completed, it never collapsed again. It was really strange. The ancient book did not mention the specific reason. When I first read about it, I thought it was deliberately mystifying. I thought it was impossible for such a miraculous thing to happen. Now that I think about it, it is very likely to be true. Tang Jing was overjoyed. At the same time, he also understood something. When the imperial city was built, it was to imprison the five-clawed golden dragon. Every time a palace was about to be completed, the five-clawed golden dragon must have been resisting and destroyed the palace. Later on, someone found a heaven and earth spirit stone and buried it in the ground. It merged with the imperial city's original spirit array and strengthened the effect of the array. That was how the five-clawed golden dragon was suppressed. The five-clawed golden dragon had never mentioned anything about the black stones of heaven and earth. He wondered if it knew anything about them. Tang Jing, is this information useful to you? Qi Shaoan asked. Tang Jing seemed to have woken up from a dream. He shouted, yes, it's very useful. Professor Qi, thank you. Tang Jing hugged Qi Shaoan. Qi Shaoan was extremely embarrassed. He patted Chu Li's shoulder and said, I'm also very happy that this information is useful to you. Tang Jing reluctantly let go. He said, Professor Qi, I wonder if you can continue to collect information about this in the future? Qi Shaoan said without hesitation, of course you can. Although I don't know what you'll do with it, I know that you won't do anything bad with it. I trust you. Tang Jing promised seriously, Professor Qi, don't worry. I won't do anything bad with the black stones of heaven and earth. I'll take my leave now. Chapter 449. It was not convenient to go to the imperial city to find the 5-clawed golden dragon during the day, so he could only wait until night time. In addition, 502 had prepared a welcoming dinner for him, so he had no choice but to attend. The location of this gathering was not far from the school. When Tang Jing arrived, the others had already arrived. They even brought their companions, which were Yi Dingdang's dormitory members. Seeing Tang Jing enter, Yi Dingdang was the first to stand up, revealing a brilliant smile and greeted, "You're here. Beauty Yi has been waiting for a long time. Hurry up and sit next to Beauty Yi." Sinosaurus pressed Tang Jing to the seat beside Yi Dingdang. The others looked at them with smiles. Yi Dingdang did not refuse and instead accepted it graciously. "Tang Jing, I heard that you went to archaeology recently. Was it fun?" Hao Dan tilted his head and asked mischievously. Hao Dan and Feng Yong had already become a pair, but Feng Yong was in class today and did not have time to come over. Hao Dan had heard a lot about Tang Jing's deeds from Feng Yong, and was quite curious about him and even a little bit worshipped him. "It's not fun." Tang Jing shook his head. This time it could be said to be a narrow escape, and it was not fun at all. "How can it not be fun? Don't all archaeologists go to ancient tombs or famous mountains and rivers? At least it's more fun than staying in school." Hao Dan said in disbelief. "Archaeology is not only fun, there are also unknown dangers." "How could that be?" Hao Dan rolled his eyes and had an idea. "Could it be that it's like the legends, you guys went to an ancient tomb and then met a zombie?" Tang Jing was stunned for a moment, then couldn't help but laugh. "Your imagination is really too rich, it's a waste not to write a novel. You actually found this advantage of mine. I've always wanted to be a literary and artistic young woman," Hao Dan boasted. The others were also amused by her cute appearance and laughed. Li Fangfei looked at Tang Jing with a complicated gaze. In the past, he thought that the person with the deepest foundation in 502 was Zhou Yan, so he did not hesitate to dive into pursuing Zhou Yan's career. Later on, he discovered that Tang Jing was actually a piece of unpolished jade. He looked ordinary and mediocre, but he contained a wealth of treasures. Even though Li Fangfei prided herself as an outstanding treasure hunter, she truly had no way of exploring Tang Jing's treasure. Tang Jing's style of disappearing for dozens of days was not her type. However, seeing Yi Dingdang diving headfirst into Tang Jing's big net, Li Fangfei was really shocked. Li Fangfei could already confirm that Yi Dingdang came from a big family with a prominent background, but she was deeply in love with Tang Jing, which made her extremely puzzled. However, Li Fangfei did not dare to underestimate Tang Jing in the slightest. Just the limelight of the martial arts assembly alone had overshadowed most of the students. Furthermore, she could not see through Tang Jing in the slightest. Lu Xian leaned on Sinosaurus's side like a little bird, looking at the few of them with a smile. She was originally a person of few words, but now that she was conquered by Sinosaurus, she seemed to have become even less talkative and became a little woman. "Alright everyone, don't just talk about me. While I was gone, a lot of things happened between you guys. I hate each and every one of you as a pair," Tang Jing said with a smile. "Could it be that only you are allowed to set the fire and we are not allowed to light the lamp? This is called charm, do you know?" Sinosaurus laughed and boasted. "You still dare to talk about charm? If you didn't pester us, would you be able to chase after our Lu Xian?" Li Fangfei teased. "Lu Xian was moved by my sincerity. What do you mean by pester us? You don't know anything about romance." Sinosaurus retorted righteously. Lu Xian rolled her eyes and pouted. "You're just pestering us and you don't allow others to talk about it." Sinosaurus chuckled and added, "Hee hee, if you say so, then so be it. I'll listen to you." "Yo, you're already following your wife's tune so quickly. Second bro, I think you'll definitely be a henpecked husband in the future," Wang Shiji teased. Sinosaurus replied disapprovingly, "What henpecked husband? This is called being lovey-dovey. A bachelor like you won't understand." Tang Jing waved his hand and said, "Alright, there are children here. You guys don't have to be lovey-dovey. Let's eat and drink." "That's right, Nana is hungry. Let's eat." Nana held onto her stomach and stared at the table full of dishes with her eyes shining. "Let's eat." The atmosphere warmed up and they toasted each other. Sinosaurus told a few jokes, and the atmosphere at the table became more lively. "Did they make things difficult for you when I left yesterday?" Tang Jing whispered to Yi Dingdang. "No, I ignored their words. What's the use of making things difficult for me?" Yi Dingdang said indifferently. "I didn't have time to say it yesterday. I found that Yi Tianming came with ill intentions. He seemed to have bad intentions towards your family," Tang Jing reminded. Yi Dingdang curled her lips and said, Everyone knows Sima Zhao's intentions. It's not that easy for him to deal with our family. Don't think that so many people are standing on his side. Not all of them are dead set on him. Those people are fence-sitters. Oh, that is to say, as long as your father sits firmly on the throne of the Ye family, those people will naturally side with your father? Of course, but I'm not interested in those people. It doesn't matter if there's one more or one less. Tang Jing pondered for a moment and said, remind your father to be careful. He is too honest, but Yi Tianming is not. Be careful of his dirty tricks and deepen Yi Xuanji's prejudice against your father. If that happens, the position of the patriarch may be taken away. Although I don't know why your father was expelled from the Ye family, I'm guessing that it has something to do with Yi Tianming. Yi Dingdang raised her eyebrows and said, I'll tell him. But with my temper, there's no point in staying in the Ye family. It's best to just leave. Tang Jing shook his head. That won't do. That will make things easy for Yi Tianming. I think Yi Xuanji wants your father to compete with Yi Tianming. It's still unknown who will be in charge of the Ye family in the future. At this crucial moment, we can't relax and give the other party a chance. Yi Dingdang glared at him and said, you men are all obsessed with power. Tang Jing smiled embarrassedly. Even if we don't like it, we can't let the enemy take advantage of it. Moreover, your father is a member of the Ye family. If he is in charge of the Ye family, it will be a good thing. Alright, I can't win against you. Hey, what are the two of you whispering about? Let's go home and whisper under the covers. Hao Dan saw that the two people's heads were almost close together, and she couldn't help but make fun of them. You and Feng Yong are the ones who are whispering under the covers. Yi Dingdong's face flushed red. Tang Jing coughed and changed the topic. We're done eating. Let's go home. If you want to get a room, go get one. I won't disturb you. Wow, you're talking about yourself, right? The two of you can't wait to get under the covers? Li Fangfei stared at Tang Jing and Yi Dingdang and chuckled. I'm going back to the dormitory. When the lights are off, I'll see who's not back. Then I'll know who went out to get a room. Yi Dingdang countered. It can't be. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Are the two of you really not going out tonight? Nana finally finished the food in her bowl. She raised her head and said seriously, Brother, let's go back. Otherwise, Sister Lu will definitely be waiting anxiously. Sister Lu? Who's Sister Lu? Suddenly, everyone quietened down and stared at Tang Jing. Even Yi Dingdang could not help but widen her eyes. Tang Jing knew that something was wrong. This lass was going to expose him if she did not choose her words carefully. He hurriedly said, the kids are just playing. Since everyone is done eating, let's go. Dingdang, Nana and I will make a move first. After he finished speaking, he pulled Nana and left the restaurant as if he was escaping. Brother, why are you leaving? Where's all the delicious food? Nana innocently stared at him and asked. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry. This little girl almost got into big trouble. So, he seriously said, Nana, brother will make a promise with you, okay? Okay, come, let's make a pinky promise. We won't change our promise for 100 years. Nana excitedly clapped her hands. In the future, don't mention Sister Lu's matters to outsiders. Tang Jing seriously said. Why? When you grow up, you'll understand adult matters. Tang Jing patted her little head and said. Nana did not understand and asked, could it be that I can't tell Sister Dingdang? Of course, I know that Nana is the best at keeping secrets. This is our secret. Nana happily clapped her hands and said, okay, Nana promises brother that Nana will definitely keep it a secret. Then let's go home. That's him. Chop him to death. Suddenly, an angry roar rang out and a large group of people surged over. At this moment, the few people in the restaurant also dispersed. No one went to get a room, but a few girls gathered together and started chattering. Dingdang, who is that Sister Lu? Li Fangfei asked. Yi Dingdang blankly shook her head. She really did not know who this person was. No matter how smart she was, she would not have thought that this person was her high school class teacher, Lu Qingmei. There's a situation. Hao Dan said resolutely. Lu Xian also nodded her head seriously. Yi Dingdang panicked. Could it be that there was really a situation? She knew about Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir. Could it be that there was another person? Maybe it's just a kid playing around. Don't take it seriously. Yi Dingdang took a deep breath and suppressed the panic in her heart as she forced out a smile. Dingdang, don't force yourself to smile. Your expression has already betrayed your heart. Moreover, it's better to believe in this kind of thing than not to believe in it. Making preparations early is the best strategy. Li Fangfei warned with the appearance of an expert. Yi Dingdong's panic grew stronger and stronger. If you secretly follow him one day, he will definitely reveal a flaw. As long as you follow the clues, everything will come to light. Li Fangfei clenched her fists and waved her hands in the air as she said, "Yes, a woman must fight for her own happiness." Hao Dan and Lu Xian agreed in unison. Tang Jing did not expect that because of Nana's unintentional words, he would reveal a huge flaw. However, at this moment he did not have the mood to care about this matter. This was because he was facing a large group of people, and among them, there were even people holding guns and swaggering at him. Chapter 450. Brat, aren't you very arrogant? Try moving and your brother Scar will let you know the taste of a bullet today. Scarface flaunted his might as he coldly sneered. Tang Zheng looked at these dozens of people without batting an eyelid. Most of them had weapons in their hands, especially a few of them who were holding guns. The threat was not small. Are you born in the year of the dog? You actually found me? Tang Jing asked with a teasing smile. Fuck, you still dare to be arrogant? No one in the capital can escape from your brother Scar's eyes. Scarface proudly boasted. Sigh, this is the first time I've seen someone who can't wait to die. Tang Jing shook his head and sighed. Courting death? I think you're the one who's at death's door and still boasting shamelessly. Open fire and get rid of him. Scarface had been running rampant in the capital for many years, but he had never met someone who dared to not put him in his eyes. He couldn't help being furious and didn't hesitate to use his gun to get rid of Tang Jing as an example. Nana, sleep for a while. Tang Jing's finger pressed on Nana's neck. Nana's eyes slightly closed and she quickly fell asleep. Now we can make our move. Tang Jing's lips curled into a smile, but it was like a devil's smile that made people shudder. Scarface's heart trembled as he suddenly had an ominous premonition. He immediately shouted, "Move!" Bang, bang, bang. The sound of gunfire crackled like firecrackers, filling the air. Where did he go? Suddenly, everyone discovered that they had lost sight of their target. Tang Jing had disappeared. Scarface's heart suddenly felt a sense of danger. Before he could react, he found that his neck was already grabbed. Ah! Scarface screamed in fright, but his scream came to an abrupt end. His throat had already fallen into Tang Jing's grasp. Didn't you want to kill me? Who's going to kill who now? Tang Jing sneered. Don't kill me. A strong killing intent enveloped Scarface, and he turned pale with fright as he begged for mercy. Too late. Tang Jing softly spat out these two words. With a crack, the scarred man's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. His neck was completely broken, and his head tilted to one side and drooped down. He killed Brother Ba, someone exclaimed. The corners of Tang Jing's mouth curled up as he said, He's courting his own death. If I don't kill him, he'll be buzzing around my ears like a fly. It's so noisy that it's annoying. Tang Jing did not have the energy to deal with these small fries. He might as well get rid of them in one go and save his energy to do other things. However, the others discovered his decisive side, especially his elusive skills, which made them tremble in fear. The henchmen next to him scattered in all directions. Tang Jing swept his eyes over the crowd and murderously said, Whoever dares to disturb me again will end up like him. He loosened his grip and Scarface's corpse fell to the ground with a loud bang, deeply shocking their hearts. Tang Jing hugged Nana and left with large strides. The others looked at each other in dismay, but no one dared to stop him. The news of Scarface's death quickly spread. Brother Meng was so scared that he almost fell to the ground. After a brief moment of shock, his eyes lit up and he suddenly laughed wildly. The heavens are helping me. I've been working under Brother Ba for so many years and I've never been able to rise up. Now that Brother Ba is dead, the territory and influence he left behind will be mine. But if I want to smoothly take over his business, then I must accomplish one thing, and that is to take revenge for Brother Ba. That brat isn't even afraid of guns. He's not an ordinary person. If I rush up, I'll only be delivering myself to him. I'm not that brat's opponent, but the person behind Brother Ba can definitely eliminate him. Thinking about the person behind Brother Ba, the light in Brother Meng's eyes burned even more fiercely. As Scarface's henchman, he understood Scarface's background. Scarface was able to stand tall in the capital for so many years and contend against his other big brother Hazy. What he relied on the most was not his subordinates or the guns in his hands. His biggest reliance was the Chu family. Scarface was a dog of the Chu family. Whatever the Chu family said he would do. It didn't matter if he killed Scarface, but this was touching the interests of the Chu family and going against the Chu family. The Chu family needed an agent, so they wouldn't brazenly let their own family members do this dirty work. Since Scarface was dead, then he, Brother Meng, was naturally the best candidate. Right now, the most important thing was to find the people from the Chu family. Brother Meng thought hard and finally slapped his head. He thought of a clever idea. The big shots of the Chu family were not easy to find, but the Chu family's child Feng was very high profile. Brother Meng knew his whereabouts. Right now, Child Chu must be playing at Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty. I have to go see him immediately. Brother Meng spent a lot of effort and felt that it was more difficult than a fierce battle. Finally, he met the Chu family's young master Chu Xiaofeng at Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty. Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty was the name of a clubhouse. This clubhouse was only targeted at high-end customers. Ever since the martial arts assembly, Chu Xiaofeng had been in a state of fear. He was deeply afraid that Tang Zheng would find out that he and Song Yu had teamed up to trick him with the spirit-severing pill, so Chu Xiaofeng didn't leave the house at all, as if he was a young lady from a big family. Only after the news of Tang Zheng being a cultivator reached the capital did Chu Xiaofeng finally release himself from the boudoir, and once again started to scheme with Song Yu. They finally understood why the spirit-severing pill was ineffective. It turned out that Tang Zheng was a cultivator. However, this time they were no longer worried. Instead, they were ecstatic. Now that Tang Zheng's identity had been exposed, he would become the target of public criticism and would attract crazy attacks. They didn't have to worry about Tang Zheng coming to find trouble with them. Chu Xiaofeng was really stifled. Once he was liberated, he would linger around the Heavenly Fragrance and National Beauty every day, as carefree as an immortal. Back then, his arm was broken by Tang Zheng, and his cultivation was greatly affected. However, in the end he was still able to preserve his cultivation, and was still at the second stage of the post-celestial stage. However, compared to most people, this was still an unreachable height. At least to Brother Meng, the other party was an unreachable existence. Brother Meng bent his waist and pretended to be filled with righteous indignation. Young Master Feng, you have to uphold justice for Brother Scar. This time the other party has gone too far, they don't even put young Master Chu and the Chu family in their eyes. Chu Xiaofeng heard the whole story and asked, Scarface has been around for so many years, yet he was still slaughtered by a brat. Isn't he too weak? Brother Meng hurriedly explained, this time the other party's strength was beyond our expectations, which is why we suffered such a huge loss. If young Master Feng were to take action, then it would definitely be easy to capture him. Such a small character is not even worthy of carrying young Master Feng's shoes. Of course I know that I'm not even worthy of carrying my shoes, so I'm even less interested. Chu Xiaofeng waved his hand, lacking interest. Young Master Feng, you must be interested. I guess that brat might be a warrior, which is why Brother Scar suffered such a big loss. Brother Meng looked embarrassed, but he suddenly had an idea and said, a warrior? There are tens of thousands of warriors, so there's nothing strange about it. Chu Xiaofeng had seen too many warriors, so he was not interested at all. He looked deeply at Brother Meng and said with a fake smile, I know what you're thinking, you want to borrow the power of our Chu family to rise up, but you're too weak, it's not worth our Chu family to make a move. If you want to take over Scarface's interests, then work hard yourself. Brother Meng's face flushed red when his thoughts were seen through. He said resentfully, of course I can't hide my thoughts from young Master Feng. Of course I will work hard, but I'm unwilling to let that brat Tang Jing get away with it just like that. Chu Xiaofeng suddenly sat up straight and asked with a dark face, you just said a name, what is it? Brother Meng looked at Chu Xiaofeng blankly and said nervously, young Master Feng, are you talking about that brat's name? That brat's name is Tang Zheng. Chu Xiaofeng almost cried out in shock, his breathing involuntarily became hurried and he asked, is he really called Tang Zheng? Brother Meng nodded. What does he look like? Brother Meng recalled and described the other party's appearance bit by bit. However, he discovered that Chu Xiaofeng's breathing became more and more hurried, his eyes gradually turned red, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. It's him, Tang Xiao. Chu Xiaofeng suddenly burst out with a hysterical roar. Brother Meng was so scared that he shivered, and asked while trembling with fear, could it be that this person also provoked young Master Feng? Of course he provoked me. I wish I could cut off his head with a single slash. Chu Xiaofeng said with a murderous aura. Brother Meng was overjoyed. With the new and old grudges added together, we should get rid of this person. Young Master Feng, if you're afraid of dirtying your hands, send an expert with me. I guarantee that I'll bring you his head. Chu Xiaofeng looked at him with disdain and scoffed. With just you? Even 100 of you might not be his match, and you still recklessly want to take his head. Brother Meng was flabbergasted. His neck subconsciously shrunk as if a cold wind had blown over. He asked in bewilderment, "Is that brat really that powerful?" Chu Xiaofeng rolled his eyes at him, too lazy to bother with him, but his mind was spinning rapidly. Why didn't Tang Jing die? Could it be that the martial sect turned a blind eye to him? That can't be. The martial sect had always maintained a zero-tolerance attitude towards cultivators. They would never allow a cultivator to swagger around in this world. There must be something wrong. Tang Jing could not continue to be so arrogant. Sooner or later, the martial sect would make a move against him. However, this brat killed Scarface as soon as he returned to the capital. Was he deliberately going against the Chu family and deliberately provoking them? Chu Xiaofeng was shocked. His first impression was that this was definitely done deliberately by Tang Jing. This brat was still so arrogant after his identity was exposed. He must have eaten a leopard's guts. He must have not put the Chu family in his eyes at all. No, I can't let him live so freely. The martial sect will definitely come to deal with him soon. If I can take advantage of this time to get rid of this brat, I will definitely be able to win the trust of the martial sect. That way, the Chu family will be able to take advantage of the situation to rise, and his position in the Chu family will also greatly increase. Back then, because he had provoked Tang Jing, Chu Xiaofeng had received a lot of criticism from the Chu family. If he could hold his head high this time, it would definitely be a great victory. Chapter 451. Chu Xiaofeng couldn't wait to return to the Chu family and find his father, Chu Mingxian. After Chu Mingxian heard his son's report, he muttered to himself, "You want the old man to personally take action?" Yes, if the old man makes a move he will definitely succeed. That brat Tang Jing will definitely die. Chu Xiaofeng vowed. Chu Mingxian was silent, his expression serious, and only after a long while did he say in a deep voice, "Your plan is not impossible. If Tang Jing dies, it would be to solve a huge problem for the martial sect. Taking advantage of this opportunity to form a relationship with the martial sect, it would be beneficial to the martial sect, but the key is the master behind Tang Jing." Mentioning this person, both father and son fell into silence. Their impression of Tian Chanzi was simply too deep. Back then, on Yen Potion's 80th birthday, not only did the Chu family lose Chu Xiaohui, a young talent, they had also lost all face. It was the shame of their entire lives. Although that person is powerful, the martial sect will not let him go after all, so he shouldn't be able to jump around for more than a few days. Without that person's protection, what kind of waves can Tang Jing jump around? Chu Xiaofeng said disapprovingly. Chu Mingxian looked deeply at his son and said with relief, "Xiaofeng, you have really grown up. You can see the problem more comprehensively and deeply, and you also know how to share the burden of this family. Your suggestion is not bad. Before the old man sleeps, we will immediately go find him." Chu Xiaofeng was overjoyed and hurriedly nodded. The father and son arrived in front of a small house and stopped in their tracks. They respectfully shouted, "Father, I brought Xiaofeng to see you." "What's the matter?" An old voice sounded. "We have something to report to you. Didn't I tell you before that you should try to make a decision about the Ye family and not disturb my cultivation?" The old voice said. Chu Mingxian lowered his head and said, "Father, I am unable to make a decision on this matter. I must report it to you." The other party pondered for a moment, then said, "Come in." Creak. An iron door opened on its own without any wind, revealing a dark room. There was not a single ray of light in the room, so it was impossible to see what was going on inside. Chu Xiaofeng shivered. He had been very afraid of his grandfather since he was young, and when the old man got older, his temperament became very strange. He did not like the sun and locked himself in this small iron house all day long. It was said that he was cultivating, and it was very difficult for others to see him. If it wasn't for something important, the iron door would never be opened. Chu Mingxian and Chu Xiaofeng fell into the darkness. The iron door closed with a bang, scaring Chu Xiaofeng so much that his entire body trembled. It was pitch black and he couldn't see anything. However, the old master's voice rang out. "Xiaofeng, you're a man of the Chu family. How can you be so useless? Just now, you were so scared that your whole body was trembling." Facing this question, Chu Xiaofeng's legs went soft, and he had the urge to kneel on the ground. He said with fear and trepidation, "Grandfather's lesson is very right, I will definitely try my best to correct it." "What is it? Just say it," the old man said. Chu Mingxian had already thought of an excuse long ago. He explained it concisely, and the small metal house instantly fell into silence. There was not the slightest sound. Even the breathing of the three people could not be heard. It was as if they were holding their breaths. "You want me to deal with Tang Zheng and rope in the martial sect?" After a long while the old man asked. "Yes, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Chu family. Now that the honeymoon period between the Chu family and the Yan family is over, we must find a new backer, and the martial sect is even stronger than the Yan family." Chu Mingxian analyzed with conviction. "The martial sect has always been arrogant. Will they care about what you do?" The old man asked. "Yes, the matter with Tang Zheng is not an exception. I heard that many strange things have happened in the 10,000 mountains of southern Yunnan, and there are even new cultivators that have appeared. Although the martial sect is strong, their strength in the secular world is not that strong, and we can make up for this weakness of the martial sect." Chu Mingxian said. "Could it be that the other families are all fools, giving such a good thing to our Chu family?" The old man asked. Chu Mingxian was confident and said, "I have already confirmed it. The Ye family has already announced to the outside world that the Ye family and the Tang Zheng will no longer have anything to do with each other from now on, and will go their separate ways." Oh, that old man Yi Xuanji actually broke through his cultivation when he was about to die, and now he is so decisive in pushing Tang Zheng out of the Ye family. It's really strange. The old man said in surprise. Actually, there's nothing strange about this. Chu Xiaofeng had adapted to the darkness, and the pressure he felt had weakened a lot. He changed the topic and said, "The Ye family is a group of people who fish for fame. They did not openly go against the Tang Zheng because they were afraid of being poked at behind their backs, saying that they are as cowardly as mice." Humph, but didn't the Ye family also end up in a situation where they forget about righteousness for the sake of profit? That old man Yi Xuanji actually rejected his own grandson-in-law. What a decisive move. The old man sneered in ridicule. "I think they were afraid of being implicated by the martial sect, so they made plans early on." Chu Mingxian added. The martial sect is indeed not something that an ordinary family would dare to go against. In that case, Tang Zheng can be considered a small fish that escaped the net. If we catch this fish, then everything will be fine? The old man asked. Although it won't be fine, it is indeed a way to get close to the martial sect. It is worth a try. Chu Mingxian said cautiously. The old man muttered to himself, and only after a while did he agree. "We can kill him, but he is just a small character, and you need me to take action." Are you all idiots? Although it was dark, Chu Mingxian and Chu Xiaofeng still felt a burning pain on their cheeks. Chu Mingxian explained, "I am not afraid of Tang Zheng, but I am worried that his mysterious master will appear. So, just in case, I asked Father to take action." The darkness fell into silence as if the old man was thinking. After a long while, he said, "All right, I promise you, unless his mysterious master appears, I will not make a move. Don't disappoint me." The father and son pair were overjoyed and hurriedly nodded their heads in agreement. Then they quickly left the small iron house. Chu Xiaofeng's back was cold and he was actually drenched in cold sweat. "Immediately track that brat's whereabouts and then wait for an opportunity to move," Chu Mingxian ordered. "Yes, sir." Chu Xiaofeng could not hide his joy as he accepted the order and left. In the middle of the night, Tang Zheng waited for Lu Qingmei and Nana to fall asleep before leaving with Xiao Bai. In the darkness of the night, a figure quickly flashed through the streets and alleys, flying towards the imperial city. After a while he arrived at the foot of the imperial city. Just as Tang Zheng was about to flip over and enter, his heart suddenly trembled. He turned his head to look not far away and in a flash he pounced over. Whiz! A stone was thrown out of his hand. It was like a bullet streaking across the night sky, emitting a sharp sound as it pierced through the air. The stone hit the ground and shattered into pieces, and the floor that was hit quickly cracked open, covered in cracks. This attack had clearly missed, but the person hiding in the shadows had also appeared. "Who is it? Why are you following me sneakily?" Tang Zheng's killing intent was exposed as he asked coldly. The one who walked out from the darkness was actually Marshall. She stared at Tang Zheng with burning eyes, then looked at the towering imperial city. She frowned and said, "It's the middle of the night, what are you doing here?" Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Why are you following me in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? You deliberately avoided me. What else can I do if I don't use this method to get close to you?" Marshall asked angrily. Tang Zheng was speechless. Ever since he returned to the capital, he had sent Marshall away, and then seemed to have forgotten about her existence. He never thought that she would be so persistent, actually following him in the middle of the night. You've been following me all night? Tang Jing was shocked. Since she was able to follow him to this place, then she must have discovered Lu Qingmei's residence. Lu Qingmei was a cultivator. Could it be that she was also exposed? Marshall's eyes revealed a trace of ridicule as he said, "You really like to play the trick of hiding a beauty in a golden house. That's your high school teacher, right?" Tang Jing said without changing his expression, "This is none of your business." "Of course I don't care about these messy things," Marshall said. Tang Jing heaved a sigh of relief. Although Lu Qingmei was a cultivator to martial artists, cultivators were just like ordinary people. If they did not take the initiative to expose themselves, they would not be able to tell. In other words, Marshall had not discovered Lu Qingmei's identity as a cultivator. "What's the point of following me like this? Could it be that you really want to stay by my side?" Tang Jing asked curiously. "I came here today to tell you two things." "Oh, what is it?" "Didn't you tell me to ask Li Xiaotian about the movements of the Rockefeller family? They haven't made any movements recently. In addition, Lewis's whereabouts have not appeared. I reckon he should have returned to his own country." This was not much different from what Tang Jing had expected. As long as Lewis did not do anything else, he would not have the time to pay attention to him. "In addition, you have to accompany me to the martial sect." "What?" Tang Jing was shocked. "You want me to go to the martial sect? Then wouldn't I be walking right into a trap? I'm not that stupid." Marshall said disdainfully, "If I really wanted to kill you, why would I save you?" Tang Jing was speechless. However, he still wouldn't go to the martial sect. Although Marshall had already pointed out that the martial sect's sect master might be his biological father, he didn't want to be entangled with the other party. Seeing that he was unmoved, Marshall continued, "Sect master has already returned to the martial sect, but sect master is injured. However, sect master wants me to pass on a message to you. It is very likely that 100 Transformation Star Lord has also left the 10,000 huge mountains. 100 Transformation Star Lord's temperament is changeable, and his strength is so strong. Didn't your martial sect boast about hunting cultivators as your responsibility? Then go and get rid of the 100 Transformation Star Lord." Tang Jing said in ridicule. Marshall's face was slightly embarrassed. He hesitated for a moment and said, "No one in the martial sect is a match for the 100 Transformation Star Lord." "Oh, so you guys are trying to bully the weak. You're not a match for the 100 Transformation Star Lord, so you came to bully me, right?" "Nonsense, who bullied you? Letting you go to the martial sect is for your own good. Don't bite the hand that feeds you," Marshall said angrily. The corner of Tang Jing's mouth raised slightly and said, "For my own good? I don't think so. In short, I'm not interested in going to the martial sect. Don't waste your saliva trying to persuade me." "I'll wait until you go." "How long can you wait?" "Until you go." Tang Jing shrugged his shoulders. "Then go ahead, but there's no need to follow me. Please go back." Chapter 452. Tang Jing's face was filled with resentment. Back then, he had tricked the third elder in the imperial city and allowed him to enter the 5-clawed golden dragon's stomach. "It really is you." Marshall instantly understood and revealed an unkind expression. "I had long guessed that you were related to this matter." "How did you do it?" Since he had been seen through, Tang Jing did not deny it and openly said, "If I don't kill him, he will kill me. This is a situation of life and death." Although Marshall admitted that what Tang Jing said was true, the person who died was the third elder of the martial sect after all, and his relationship with Marshall was even closer. "If it weren't for your relationship with the sect master and the martial sect, I would have killed you right now," Marshall said hatefully. "You're not my match. You can't kill me," Tang Jing said bluntly. Marshall's face was slightly embarrassed and he was speechless. After pondering for a moment, he changed the topic and asked, "Did you come to the imperial city in the middle of the night to do something bad again?" "No comment." "Then I'll follow you and see what you're going to do. Although I can't kill you now, I have to be on guard against you doing bad things," Marshall said warily. Tang Jing curled his lips. "How could I do bad things? On the contrary, it's more likely that you will do bad things. Since you're willing to follow, then let's see if you can keep up." Tang Jing tapped his foot and flipped over the walls of the imperial city. With a leap, he disappeared from the imperial city. Marshall's speed was not slow either, following him like a shadow. Tang Jing did not head straight for the palace, but instead led Marshall around the imperial city. He was more familiar with the environment of the imperial city. After circling around for half a round, Marshall was already a little lost, and was left further and further behind by Tang Jing. Whoosh! Tang Jing looked back and finally did not find any traces of Marshall. He could not help but heave a sigh of relief. He suddenly changed the direction of his advance and shot towards a nearby palace. Finally, he arrived at his destination, activated the array and entered the ground. However, Marshall was like a headless fly, searching for a long time, but he had no choice but to admit that Tang Jing had indeed disappeared without a trace. She angrily stomped her feet and muttered unwillingly, "This person is extremely hateful. Where did he go? Why did he disappear into thin air?" Tang Jing had a faint smile on his face as he arrived at the huge hall. Xiao Bai took the lead and jumped in front of the five-clawed golden dragon. The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes were also filled with joy. He spoke in human language, "You're finally here. This time you must let him accompany me for a few more days." The five-clawed golden dragon seemed to be used to the days when Xiao Bai was around. This time, after Xiao Bai left, it actually felt a strong sense of loneliness. Xiao Bai rubbed itself against the five-clawed golden dragon's body and squeaked a few times. It was full of joy. The little guy seemed to have fallen in love with the five-clawed golden dragon. "No problem." Tang Jing agreed. "I came here this time to ask you a few questions." The five-clawed golden dragon stared at him with its big eyes and said meaningfully, "This trip to Dianan, your harvest is not small. You actually increased your cultivation again. Hey, your body actually gives me a feeling of being reborn. Could it be that this is my illusion?" Tang Jing's heart moved as he remembered the mysterious heart. Could it be that all of this was due to it? Thus, he hurriedly voiced his conjecture. Immediately, the five-clawed golden dragon exclaimed in disbelief, "What, you actually absorbed Qi Yu's heart?" "I'm not sure if that's Qi Yu's heart," Tang Jing said. "You're not sure, but I'm 100% sure that it's Qi Yu's heart. Qi Yu died, but I didn't expect his heart to be left behind and let you get such a big advantage. The Qi Yu's heart contains powerful energy," the five-clawed golden dragon said. "Why does it sound so sour to me? Could it be that you also want this heart?" Tang Jing teased. The five-clawed golden dragon said without hiding anything, "I can't even if I want it. Qi Yu's heart is in my body so it can kill me directly." Tang Jing felt incredulous. "Isn't the physique of your dragon race very strong? How can you die because of this heart?" The five-clawed golden dragon rolled his eyes and said, "Do you think that Qi Yu's heart is so simple? The reason you're able to survive is because you're a celestial, the nine-yang saint body. That coincides with the Qi Yu's body. That's why you were able to contain this heart. Otherwise, the powerful energy of the Qi Yu's heart would have directly destroyed your body and incinerated your soul." Tang Jing suddenly remembered the scene of Qi Yu's heart entering his body. At that time he was in great pain as if he was about to die. But later on he was strangely safe. This was definitely the effect of the nine-yang saint body. Tang Jing patted his chest and sighed with lingering fear. "This really is a new lease on life. I walked on the edge of death. This is a great opportunity. Now I'm more and more confident that you'll be able to release me from this cage." The five-clawed golden dragon said proudly. "Just now you said that Qi Yu's heart contains a powerful energy. Just what kind of energy is it?" Tang Jing asked curiously. The five-clawed golden dragon shook his head and said, "I don't know. This secret is only known to celestials. In history, celestials were very powerful and obtained great achievements. There were two conditions. One was that their body was originally the best for cultivation. The second was that there was a mysterious inheritance between celestials." The five-clawed golden dragon was very satisfied with Tang Jing's reaction and continued, "Because the era between two celestials is very long, they can't personally pass down this inheritance. Celestials often store their lifetime's cultivation and many profound mysteries in a certain part of their body and pass it down to the next celestial." Tang Jing was dumbstruck. This was truly shocking news. If that was the case, then Qi Yu's heart really contained a huge treasure. When he was able to secretly break the restriction on Buzhou Mountain, it was undoubtedly the effect of Qi Yu's heart. Moreover, he was able to call out the name of the heaven and earth black stone. It was definitely related to Qi Yu's heart. With all of these, Tang Jing had already enjoyed a lot of the benefits brought by Qi Yu's heart. However, it is more common to pass down this powerful and mysterious energy through Saraira. The five-clawed golden dragon added, "Saraira? Isn't it said that only after a senior monk passes away can a Saraira be created?" Tang Jing asked in surprise. "That is also a Saraira, but it is completely different from the celestial Saraira. After a celestial dies, their body will spontaneously combust, and all of their energy will condense into a single Sarira. It is said that this kind of Sarira is as bright as the sun and the moon. It is extremely rare to see it. Tang Zheng was intoxicated as he listened. There were too many mysteries about celestials. Even though he only heard a few words from the five-clawed golden dragon's mouth, he was still very shocked. However, Qiyu obviously didn't use the Sarira method. Instead, he condensed all the energy in his heart, which benefited you. Wait until you completely inherit the mysteries of Qiyu's heart, then you will be able to easily save me. I am really looking forward to it. I have witnessed the growth and rise of a celestial. This is really a rare and miraculous experience. The five-clawed golden dragon said with a strange expression on his face. Tang Jing knew that Qiyu's heart was not something that could be understood in a short period of time. It was better to first understand the matter of the heaven and earth black stone, so he asked, "Do you know about the heaven and earth black stone?" "Of course I know about it. It is a spirit stone that gathers the essence of heaven and earth. However, it is very rare. The most famous one is the Stairway to Heaven in Buzhou Mountain. However, the Stairway to Heaven has already been destroyed by the 100-Change Star Lord." The five-clawed golden dragon said regretfully. Hearing this, Tang Zheng was shocked. He did not expect the five-clawed golden dragon to know so many things. He quickly said, "Since you also know about the Buzhou Mountain and the Stairway to Heaven, then I will tell you something. The 100-Change Star Lord is not dead. He has appeared in this world again." "What?" The five-clawed golden dragon's whiskers trembled slightly. "How is that possible? It has already been so many years. He is still not dead?" "Yes, he is not dead. I even escaped from his hands." Tang Jing said solemnly, "How do you know so many things?" As long as you live long enough, you will know a lot of things that other people do not know. Although I have only lived for 1,000 years, but the history of the dragon race has a long history. There are a lot of things recorded, so I know a lot of secrets." The five-clawed golden dragon said proudly. "What kind of race is your dragon race?" Tang Jing asked curiously. The five-clawed golden dragon pretended to be mysterious and said, "When you meet more dragons in the future, you will naturally know." Back then, the 100-Change Star Lord was quite powerful. Now, no one in this world is his match. This was a regrettable reality. Let's not talk about the 100-Change Star Lord for now. Do you know where the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone went after the Heaven Stairway was destroyed? Tang Jing asked. The Heaven and Earth Shen Stone are scattered in every corner of the world, and no one can predict their exact location. However, as long as you have the heart, you will definitely be able to find these Heaven and Earth Shen Stone. As far as I know, Qiyu has found quite a few Heaven and Earth Shen Stone, and other people have also found them. However, it is not easy to collect all of them. Tang Jing's heart moved. The Heaven and Earth Shen Stone buried in the Witch Clan's plaza must have been found by Qiyu. The key now was where the other Heaven and Earth Shen Stone were. I can tell what you're thinking just by looking at your eyes. You want to gather all the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone, right? I know a place that must have this thing. The five-clawed golden dragon said mysteriously. "Where?" Tang Jing asked impatiently. "Southern Sea Dragon Palace." Dragon Palace? Tang Jing was extremely surprised. Yes, back then the Dragon Clan built a dragon palace in the Southern Sea, and the cornerstone was the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone. Later on, the Dragon Clan left the Dragon Palace, but the Dragon Palace was left behind. I believe that the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone are still in their original place. Tang Jing was overjoyed and asked, "Where is the exact location of the Dragon Palace?" "Don't be in a hurry to ask me. Let me ask you first. What exactly do you want the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone for?" The Heaven and Earth Shen Stone can be used to rebuild the Heaven Stairway. Could it be that you want to rebuild the Heaven Stairway and then go to the sky beyond heaven to bring back the other cultivators? The five-clawed golden dragon asked curiously. Chapter 453. I'm not interested in what you're going to do as long as you get me out of here. However, the Dragon Palace I mentioned is indeed a good place to go. It's empty, so you can easily get the dark stones of heaven and earth. The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Jing nodded his head and asked for the detailed address, memorizing it in his heart. I have one more thing to ask you. Do you know if there are dark stones of heaven and earth buried in the Imperial City? Here too? The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes widened. That's right. When they were building this Imperial City, every time the palace was about to be completed, they would fail. Then they would find heaven and earth mystic stones from somewhere and bury them underground, allowing the palace to be built smoothly. Tang Jing repeated the information that Qi Shaoan had found. Hearing this, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes flashed with a terrifying light and murderously said, "So that's how it is. When they wanted to suppress me with that array, I was able to resist at first. Later, I felt that the array's power suddenly increased. I never thought that it was the dark stones of heaven and earth. What a cunning human. The dark stones of heaven and earth can greatly increase the power of the array. No wonder I was suppressed alive for so many years. Then do you know how to find the dark stones of heaven and earth?" "The array I." The five-clawed golden dragon said without hesitation, "The dark stones of heaven and earth can only increase the power of the array when placed in the array I." "Oh, where is the array I?" "In the stone room behind." The five-clawed golden dragon moved its huge body and revealed a stone door behind it. Tang Jing was shocked. He did not expect that there was a stone room behind it. He could not help but stare at the closed stone door. "Enter this door and you can see if the dark stones of heaven and earth you're looking for are inside," the five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Jing could not wait to rush over. He stared at the stone door and asked, "Since you know the array I, why didn't you open it before?" "There is a restriction on this stone door. Only humans can open it. If I touch it, I will definitely trigger the restriction," the five-clawed golden dragon said helplessly. Tang Jing suddenly realized that the eccentric person who built the imperial city must have added a restriction on the door to prevent the five-clawed golden dragon from breaking the formation by itself. However, even with the huge body of the five-clawed golden dragon, it was unable to squeeze into this small stone room. That person was worrying too much. "Of course you have to push a door. Do you need me to teach you that?" Tang Jing was greatly embarrassed. He quickly placed both of his hands on the stone door. Ripples appeared on the stone door. This stone door was incomparably heavy. He took a deep breath and circulated his true qi. Ka. The stone door slowly opened. It was pitch black inside. Tang Jing looked around and said, "Why is there nothing here? Why don't you go in and take a look?" the five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Jing hesitated for a moment, then lifted his foot and walked in. Bang! The stone door quickly closed with a loud muffled sound, which gave Tang Jing a fright. He quickly calmed himself down and was on full alert. Boom! A green lamp lit up. The faint light finally allowed Tang Jing to see the scene in the stone room. Immediately he could not help but exclaim, "Ah!" The sound echoed in the stone room. It was frightening. At this moment Tang Jing was both shocked and frightened. This was because he clearly saw that in the middle of the stone room, there was a praying mat. And on the praying mat sat a person. Yes, there was another person in this stone room. That was why Tang Jing had such a big reaction when he stepped on it. Tang Jing stared at this person dumbfoundedly. His hair and beard were snow white. He looked like a celestial being in a painting. His hands were tightly closed as he sat cross-legged on the praying mat. It was as if he was unconscious. Tang Jing was bewildered. He did not know whether the other person was dead or alive, so he asked cautiously, "Who are you?" He asked 3 times in a row, but the other person did not respond. Tang Jing was puzzled. Could it be that this person was already dead but his body had not decomposed? Tang Jing could not be completely baffled by a guy who could not move. So he took a deep breath and walked straight over. He leaned in front of the other person and reached out to check his breathing. Suddenly the closed eyes suddenly opened. It was as if a breathtaking gaze shot out. Tang Jing subconsciously took 3 steps back before he could stabilize his body. He cried out involuntarily, "You're still alive." The 5-clawed golden dragon had been imprisoned here for hundreds of years. If this person was still alive, then he must have lived without water for hundreds of years. This was too incredible. The old man's eyes were like lightning. He stared at Tang Jing and asked in an unfriendly tone, "Who are you? Why are you here?" "Junior Tang Jing." "May I ask who Senior is?" Tang Jing asked cautiously. "Ignorant Junior, you trespassed here. Do you want to let the 5-clawed golden dragon go?" the old man asked fiercely. "No." Tang Jing flatly denied. "Do you know that if the 5-clawed golden dragon escapes, then the emperor can no longer continue to absorb the dragon chi? This is destroying the imperial dragon vein. Can you afford to take the blame?" the old man asked arrogantly. "Emperor, dragon vein?" Tang Jing's eyelids twitched. Did this old man stay underground for too long? He did not know the changes on the surface and thought that there was an emperor and dragon vein. "Quickly leave or you will be in danger. Then don't blame me for not reminding you," the old man said to himself. Tang Jing did not retreat. He came here for the heaven and earth obsidian. How could he give up halfway like this? So he asked in a deep voice, Senior, Junior has disturbed and offended you. But today is different from the past. There is no longer an emperor. Times have changed. I came here to find the heaven and earth obsidian. Please tell me. Ignorant Junior, quickly leave. Do you really want to die here? The old man's tone became more and more fierce, making it difficult to breathe. Tang Jing secretly operated his true chi and said calmly, Senior, please don't blame me. If Senior knows anything about the heaven and earth obsidian, please tell me. Then I will leave this place immediately. The old man turned a deaf ear and continued to berate with a murderous aura, quickly leave, quickly leave. Tang Jing's eyes revealed a strange look. This old man kept repeating and forcing him to leave, but ignored his question. This was not good. He could not return empty-handed. Tang Jing was also skilled and bold. Instead of retreating, he took large strides towards the old man. His heart was beating like a drum. This old man was too mysterious. Tang Jing could not figure out his strength. The old man remained as still as a pine tree, but his voice was powerful and resonant as he said, Quickly retreat. Senior, don't you feel tired talking like this? You're like a repeater. Tang Jing joked, but the old man still repeated the same words. When Tang Jing carefully walked in front of the old man still did not move. His mouth kept repeating the same words. Tang Jing's heart trembled. He suddenly had an illusion that this old man was not a living person, but a machine like a repeater. Senior, if you don't say anything, then I can only offend you. Seeing that the old man was just shooting his mouth off, Tang Jing slightly relaxed his vigilance. He reached out to grab the old man's shoulder. Tang Jing was completely focused, afraid that the old man would counterattack. However, when his hand landed on the old man's shoulder, the old man still did not react. However, Tang Jing's reaction was very big. Because he grabbed empty air, the shoulder turned into specks of light. They scattered in his hand and quickly disappeared. Tang Jing suddenly realized and cried out involuntarily, Illusion, this is an illusion. It's just that it's too realistic. I actually fell for it. No wonder he kept repeating those words like a repeater. It's not a real person at all. His voice came to an abrupt end. The old man's entire body turned into specks of light and dissipated in the air. It was like thousands of fireflies flying out of the stone room. It was incomparably gorgeous. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry. The old man had really put in a lot of effort to use such an illusion to trick him. If he had not persevered, he would have really been scared away. However, from this illusion, it could be seen how powerful this old man was. An illusion could last for hundreds of years like a real person. This kind of skill was too rare. No wonder a divine creature like the five-clawed golden dragon was imprisoned here. This old man's cultivation was ridiculously high. Tang Jing could not help but sigh. The specks of light completely dissipated, and the lamp also went out with a whoosh. However, the stone room did not turn pitch black. Instead, a bit of gentle white light spread out from the bottom of his feet. Not long later, the stone room was enveloped in white light. This white light was not dazzling at all. It was extremely gentle and seemed familiar. Tang Jing blurted out, Heaven and Earth Shen Stone. Yes, this was the light emitted by the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone. It was exactly the same as what he had seen in the Witch Clan's plaza. Tang Jing immediately followed the source of the light and found that it came from underground. The ground was made of stone slabs, and the light came from the gaps between the stone slabs, illuminating this small space. The Heaven and Earth Shen Stone is underground. Tang Jing was overjoyed. Judging from the light, there should be a lot of Heaven and Earth Shen Stone. Haha, my luck is really good this time. It's all thanks to Professor Chi's reminder. Tang Jing was overjoyed. He had an idea and thought that since the Heaven and Earth Shen Stone was the core of the formation, it must be related to the survival of the formation. If he took out these Heaven and Earth Shen Stones, the power of the formation would decrease sharply. Then wouldn't the five-clawed golden dragon be able to break out of the prison? He had promised to save the five-clawed golden dragon, but according to the five-clawed golden dragon, he needed to reach the semi-god realm to do so. But now, a miracle seemed to have happened. Without the cultivation of the semi-god realm, he could help the five-clawed golden dragon break through the shackles. The key was to take out these Heaven and Earth Shen Stones. Tang Jing was extremely excited. After a long while, he calmed down and circulated his genuine chi. His power was instantly raised to the peak and he struck out with his palms. Boom, boom. The two palms hit the floor with a dull sound. In an instant the earth shook and the mountains shook. Tang Jing's body hit the wall with a whoosh. The stone room also shook violently as if there was an earthquake. Chapter 454. Tens of thousands of lights were lit up, and the sound of alarms resounded through the sky. Many people rushed to the streets. Many of them were still naked, only wrapped in blankets. They looked at each other in horror and asked, "Earthquake? It must be an earthquake." The great earthquake in the West a few years ago had caused the people of this country to fall into a state of panic over earthquakes. Where did it shake this time? Everyone shook their heads blankly. Fortunately, the ground had stopped shaking, and the anger of the earth seemed to have stopped. However, no one dared to go home. They all stood on the streets, accepting the baptism of the cold wind. At this moment the Earthquake Bureau was in a mess. There was a huge earthquake in the capital, but they did not know about it at all. They did not even have the slightest warning. The test shows that the vibration started from the Imperial City, and the vibration waves also spread from the Imperial City. The staff wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and reported loudly, "Imperial City? How could that be? The capital is not in the earthquake zone, and the Imperial City is the center of the capital, so it is even more impossible for an earthquake to happen." Some experts questioned. But now it was useless to just doubt. They had to figure out the ins and outs of the matter. The phone was already ringing non-stop. These were all people who wanted to ask about the situation, but the Earthquake Bureau did not know anything. "Send someone to the scene immediately." In the Imperial City, Wu was waiting for the rabbit, but she was shocked by the shaking of the earth. However, the shaking quickly stopped. Her heart was in a mess. How could there be an earthquake? Suddenly she had an idea. Could it be that this had something to do with Tang Zheng? She was shocked by this thought. What ability did Tang Zheng have to cause such a huge earthquake? But if it wasn't him, who else could cause such a huge commotion? Moreover, as someone who was at the scene, she could clearly feel that the earthquake had started from the Imperial City. She looked towards the well-arranged group of palaces, and her gaze narrowed as she locked onto a direction. The vibration is coming from there. I have to go take a look. Whiz. With a leap, Marshall flew out like a lark, rapidly advancing between the palaces. At this moment, Tang Zheng finally stood firm on his feet. He looked up and saw that the floor was not damaged at all. The soft white light still seeped through the cracks of the stone. Let's try again. I don't believe that I can't get the heaven and earth black stone out. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth. This time he did not use his hands, but took out the heaven-shocking bow and the shooting sun arrows. "Skywalker, what are you doing?" The five-clawed golden dragon's voice came from outside the stone door. It was very weak. Obviously, the soundproofing effect of the stone door was good. "What happened? You made the entire capital quake, do you know that?" The five-clawed golden dragon said. "What? Earthquake?" Tang Zheng thought that it was just the stone room shaking a little. He didn't expect that it would cause an earthquake in the entire capital. This movement was too big. "I found the heaven and earth black stone, but it's buried underground. I just wanted to get it out, but I didn't succeed," Tang Zheng said. The five-clawed golden dragon pondered for a moment. Then he said, "Then quickly think of a way to get the heaven and earth black stone. That way we can break this array formation. Then I can escape." But under my attack there was no effect. The five-clawed golden dragon urged, "Then use a stronger attack, use a magic treasure." Just as Tang Zheng was about to try again, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind, and he immediately stopped his hand. "What are you still dawdling for?" The five-clawed golden dragon realized that there was no movement for a long time and asked. "Just now, when I attacked with my bare hands, the entire capital experienced an earthquake. If I were to use a stronger attack, would it cause an even greater commotion or even cause a huge earthquake causing the entire city to fall into a calamity?" Tang Zheng was shocked by his own thoughts. It was true that he wanted to save the five-clawed golden dragon, but he would not sacrifice the lives of countless people. "What will happen if I forcefully take out the heaven and earth black stone?" Tang Zheng asked loudly. The five-clawed golden dragon paused for a moment, then said, "There are no consequences." "You're lying. The capital will definitely be greatly affected, right?" Tang Zheng asked coldly. The five-clawed golden dragon was silent. It was obvious that he agreed with this result. "So it's like this. Fortunately, I thought a little more, otherwise it would cause a disaster, then I would regret it to death," Tang Zheng said with lingering fear. "Skywalker, saving me is a top priority. You can't miss this great opportunity. There are thousands of people in this world, sacrificing a few is inevitable." the five-clawed golden dragon advised. Tang Jing sneered, pushed open the stone door and walked out. Looking at the five-clawed golden dragon he said, "You are really ruthless. Using the lives of so many people in exchange for your freedom." The five-clawed golden dragon angrily said, "Why didn't you do anything? I can't save you but sacrificing the lives of countless people." Tang Jing said coldly, "If you give up this opportunity, then I will be trapped here for countless days. Then you will continue to be trapped here." Tang Jing was not afraid. The five-clawed golden dragon roared. A gust of wind blew as it rushed towards Tang Jing. Its huge dragon mouth seemed like it wanted to swallow Tang Jing. Tang Jing, however, did not move an inch as he stared straight at it. Squeak! Xiao Bai jumped in front of Tang Jing and bared its teeth at the five-clawed golden dragon, stopping it from moving. The huge dragon head stopped in front of Tang Jing. Staring at each other, the five-clawed golden dragon asked, "Are you really not afraid of me? Because I am afraid of you, I have to sacrifice the lives of countless people? Although I am not a saint, I can't be so cold-blooded and merciless." Tang Jing was not moved. The five-clawed golden dragon breathed out. It was obvious that it was extremely angry. "I am very suspicious as to why that person imprisoned you here. I think it is not as simple as just letting the Emperor absorb your dragon chi to strengthen the dragon vein." Tang Jing asked. A trace of panic flashed through the five-clawed golden dragon's huge eyes. It said, "What other reason could there be other than that? This is the shamelessness of humans, so it doesn't matter how many people die, I am very happy." Tang Jing sneered, "I am also a human." "You are a Skywalker, you are no longer a human." The five-clawed golden dragon retorted. Tang Jing shook his head. "You know that I am not a human, I want to continue being a human, so don't even think about it. I know that the Heaven and Earth Mystic Stone is here. As for saving you, when I reach the soul formation stage, I will naturally break this formation and save you. That way, I will not sacrifice the lives of others, and you will also be able to escape. It is killing two birds with one stone, I did not break my promise to you." The five-clawed golden dragon took a deep breath. It was as if all the air in the hall was sucked into its stomach. It stared closely at Tang Jing and said, "You are ruthless." Tang Jing's mouth hooked up into a smile. He believed that the five-clawed golden dragon would make the right decision. It had waited for hundreds of years and finally had this opportunity. It certainly would not kill Tang Jing to vent its anger. It needed him. Just now, I saw an illusion inside. It was a white-haired old man with a transcendent aura. "Who was he?" Tang Jing asked. "It was that old man, he was the one who trapped me here." The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes widened as it flew into a rage. "I guessed it was him, but it was just an illusion. It has already disappeared. Humph, if he was not already dead, I would have eaten him alive." The five-clawed golden dragon said angrily. "Back then you weren't even his match. What are you talking about?" Tang Jing curled his lips and said disdainfully, ignoring the five-clawed golden dragon's anger, he said, "I caused such a big commotion, the capital will definitely be in an uproar. Someone will come here, I'll leave first." "Xiao Bai, are you leaving?" Xiao Bai shook his head. Tang Jing returned to the main hall. Just as he walked out of the palace, he saw a figure shooting towards him. His pupils constricted and his entire body trembled. However, when he saw the other party's appearance, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Why haven't you left yet?" Tang Jing asked in surprise. Marshall stared at him with a complicated expression and asked, "Were you the one who caused the earthquake just now?" Tang Jing declined to comment and said, "There will definitely be countless people rushing over here soon. Let's leave this place first." Seeing that he did not admit it, Marshall coldly snorted and said, "What's so strange about this place? Also, where did you go just now?" As she spoke, she raised her head to look at the palace behind him. However, at the beginning she had also investigated the palace, but she did not find anything. Marshall was full of suspicion, but Tang Jing had already rushed out of the imperial city. She had no choice but to follow. Not long after, the alarm came from afar and the police arrived. However, there were a few black shadows that were even faster than the authorities. So. The sound of something tearing through the air was like arrows piercing through the night sky. In an instant, they crossed the tall city walls and stood on top of the tall palace. Not long after, 3 people gathered on top of the palace. They were Yi Xuanji, Yan Qishan, and another white-haired old man. This white-haired old man was not an ordinary person. He was the head of the Song family, Song Jianan, who was also Song Yu's grandfather, a martial artist of the Great Master Realm. Yan Qishan looked deeply at Yi Xuanji and asked, "Ye family head, do you know what caused this earthquake?" Yi Xuanji's eyes were as serious as the night, and he said in a deep voice, "I sensed that the tremors were caused by this place, but now I don't feel anything at all. This is definitely not an earthquake. Someone caused it and it's in the imperial city. What a big deal." Song Jianan laughed strangely. "Brother Jianan, in your opinion, who in the capital can have such great ability?" Yi Xuanji asked. Song Jianan looked towards Yan Qishan and said, "As everyone knows in the capital, Yen Potion's cultivation is the highest, so if you ask who is most likely to do this, it can only be him." Seeing that the spearhead was pointed at his father, Yan Qishan immediately denied it. "Two patriarchs, my father is currently in closed-door cultivation, how could he possibly do such a thing? Moreover, with my father's cultivation, he might not be able to do such a big commotion." "Oh, if even your father is unable to do it, then who else could it be? Could it be that another expert has come to the capital?" Song Jianan said meaningfully. He looked deeply at Yi Xuanji and said, "Isn't the Ye family related to cultivators? Could it be that some expert cultivator has come?" Yi Xuanji's face darkened and said, "You can't speak carelessly, the Ye family has nothing to do with cultivators. As for Tang Zheng, we have already cut off all ties with him. This is the good grandson-in-law you chose. If I were to meet him, I would definitely let him experience the methods of the Song family," Song Jianan said with a fake smile. Chapter 455. Yi Xuanji used to have a good relationship with Song Jianan, but ever since the engagement the relationship between the two families had fallen apart and they gradually drifted apart. Hearing Song Jianan's words, Yi Xuanji's face darkened and said, "Tang Zheng is no longer related to the Ye family. How you deal with it, what does it have to do with the Ye family?" You're quite clean. I just don't know if the martial sect will think so," Song Jianan said meaningfully. "That's the truth. As for what the martial sect thinks, I can't control it. If the martial sect really wants to do something to the Ye family, my Ye family will accept it all," Yi Xuanji said firmly. Song Jianan sneered but did not comment. When Yan Qishan saw this scene, his emotions fluctuated greatly, because the Yan family's attitude towards Tang Zheng was also divided into two factions. One of them was him, who believed that he should keep a respectful distance from Tang Zheng. The other faction was unexpected. It was actually his sister Yan Qingyi and his son Yan Luyun. This pair of aunt and nephew actually stood on the side of Tang Zheng, believing that it was impossible for Tang Zheng to lose just like that. This was truly puzzling. Even Yan Padian remained silent and in the end decided to wait and see. The situation in the capital is getting more and more confusing. There's actually an aura of a great change. I really can't see through it. Yan Qishan thought to himself. Patriarchs, our top priority is to find out what's going on with this earthquake. This is the capital's land, and with such a big thing happening, the officials will not ignore it. They will definitely ask for the opinions of our families. Yan Qishan said in a deep voice. What Qishan said is extremely true. This is the most important thing right now. As for discussing other unimportant people, it would be putting the cart before the horse, Yi Xuanji said with a cold smile. Of course, Song Jianan knew that Yi Xuanji was talking about him, and said indifferently, "I don't think there's any difference between these two matters. With such a huge commotion, only cultivators are the biggest suspects, and the well-known cultivator in the capital is Tang Zheng. If we don't look for him, who else can we look for? If you don't go, my Song family will naturally appear." As soon as he finished speaking, Song Jianan was like a whirlwind, breaking through the air from the palace and disappearing into the night in the blink of an eye. Yi Xuanji retracted his gaze and asked, "Qian, your father is in seclusion, is he about to break through again?" Yan Qishan smiled faintly and said, "Nothing can be hidden from Patriarch Yi. My father has realized something and is indeed trying. He to the Yen to the clan, to the head of the few great clans, and the leader the Yen family to be even to the head to the position to the head to the head, the status as the head, the position as the head of the few great families' clans." He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. It wasn't easy for him to break through to the first level of the supreme power realm, but he hadn't made any progress in the past 6 months, which made him quite annoyed. Tang Zheng, that brat's cultivation speed is like 1,000 miles a day, why don't I have it? He could not help but envy Tang Zheng. At this time, the police and the people from the Earthquake Bureau also arrived at the Imperial City. Yi Xuanji and Yin Qishan did not stay any longer and broke through the air, leaving behind the officials to carry out a large number of tests. However, in the end, it was to no avail as they did not find a single clue. Although they could confirm that the source of the earthquake was here, the instruments could not detect anything at all. How could they report this to the higher-ups? As for the person involved, Tang Jing did not care about how others reported this. He was already stunned by the scene along the way. The streets were filled with people with disheveled clothes, all of them panicking and looking as if they were ready to run for their lives at any time. Tang Jing felt a little guilty. These people were originally sleeping in their beds, but they were tossed awake in the middle of the night in this cold weather. This made him even more determined not to touch the heaven and earth magnetite. After all, it was not like it could run away. As for the heaven and earth magnetite in the Southern Sea Dragon Palace, he was not in a hurry to find it. The final exam was just around the corner. He could not possibly skip the exam in the first semester, or else his grandfather would definitely be sad. He must give his grandfather a satisfactory result. Moreover, Mu Hongyan's business plan was about to take off and required a large amount of money. He should be thinking about money now. And this problem could only fall on the life-continuing pill. What he needed was not a few million but hundreds of millions of funds. It was impossible to achieve without taking out some treasures. The life-continuing pill was undoubtedly a treasure. For those rich people, if it could increase their lifespan by 10 years, they would definitely agree to give up half of their family fortune. Since Tang Jing had already exposed his identity as a cultivator, he did not mind taking out such a heaven-defying thing. Of course, the quantity could not be too much. After all, it was a rare commodity. He had to make those people fight over the life-continuing pill. Furthermore, they were willing to give the money to Tang Jing as if they were begging their grandparents. This was the true meaning of standing and earning money. When they arrived outside of Lu Qingmei's neighborhood, Marshall could not help but ask, "Are you planning to keep silent? What exactly did you do to cause such a huge commotion?" Tang Jing stopped in his tracks, stared at her and said, "Everyone has their own secrets, why should I tell you?" This was already a disguised admission that he was the one who did it. Of course, even if he did not admit it, Marshall had already determined that he was the one who did it. "Do you know that you are playing with fire? With such a big commotion, do you think you can hide it from others?" Marshall asked angrily. "As long as you don't say it, no one else will know," Tang Jing said without thinking much of it. Even if I don't say it, others can guess that it's you. It's very difficult for a martial artist to cause such a big commotion. Only you mysterious cultivators can do it," Marshall said snappily. Tang Jing shrugged his shoulders. "What's the use of guessing that it's me? In any case, I won't admit it. What you're doing is a huge threat to the government and the country. They won't sit idly by," Marshall warned. Tang Jing smiled bitterly. He had just saved countless lives. According to the five-clawed golden dragon's nature, he would have directly broken through the formation. That would have been a huge loss of life. However, of course he would not explain this. He said indifferently, "If the government wants to find me, then go ahead. In any case, it's not the first time I've dealt with them. It's too late, so I won't invite you upstairs to sit." Tang Jing walked into the district with large strides. Marshall did not follow, but at the moment, the district was very lively. When Tang Jing walked downstairs, he coincidentally met Lu Qingmei. She was wrapped in a bedsheet. Previously, she had a big battle with Tang Jing and then fell asleep without wearing any clothes. After the tremors began, she got up and wrapped herself in a bedsheet. Then she carried Nana and rushed downstairs. "Big brother." When Nana saw Tang Jing, she opened her arms and threw herself into Tang Jing's embrace. Tang Jing hugged Nana. The girl was not afraid at all. Instead, she excitedly waved her little fists and said, "Big brother, there was an earthquake just now." "It's not an earthquake. Let's go home." Tang Jing pinched her cheek and comforted her. Lu Qingmei cast a questioning gaze. Tang Jing signaled with his eyes that she did not need to worry and then went upstairs. When the others saw that someone was going upstairs, they also went upstairs one after another. Of course, there were also people who directly set up tents in the district. After comforting Nana to sleep, Lu Qingmei snuggled into Tang Jing's embrace and asked, "What happened?" Tang Jing recounted what happened in the imperial city. Lu Qingmei was shocked when she heard it. She patted her chest with lingering fear and said, "It's too scary." "Fortunately, you thought a little more. Otherwise, it would have caused a disaster tonight." "Yeah, so this five-clawed golden dragon is not that trustworthy. The dragon clan is too mysterious. We have to be careful." Tang Jing sighed. You have so many problems now, but I can't help you. I feel too useless. Lu Qingmei's expression darkened as she said dejectedly. Tang Jing rolled his eyes and said with a mischievous smile, "Who said you can't help me?" As he said that, he stretched out his devil's claws and sneaked into the sheets. Lu Qingmei cried out in alarm. Her face blushed red. Not long after, the waves rolled around. In the morning, Tang Jing left the district alone. Due to the big commotion last night, Lu Qingmei's company informed her to take a day off to avoid another aftershock. Therefore, Nana stayed at home and let her take care of her. On the street, there were still many people discussing what happened last night. The television stations and radio stations on the street also took turns to broadcast the news. However, it was all the Earthquake Bureau that refuted the rumors, saying that it was not an earthquake this time. However, the people did not believe the words of the experts in the Earthquake Bureau these days. There were still many people who continued to stay outside. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry at this scene. He really wanted to shout that everything was over, but that would definitely make him look like a lunatic. It was near the end of the semester and the classes were already over. This semester, Tang Jing's number of classes was pitifully small. His grades in class were terrible. If he wanted to get good grades, he had to submit a perfect exam result. Moreover, he was the top scorer in the college entrance examination. If he did too badly, he would definitely become a laughing stock. What did Yenqing University lack the most? That was students with good grades, talents, and even top students. There was no lack of top students. Tang Jing used to be the top scorer in a province. If he wanted to stand out in this final exam, he would have to put in a lot of effort. Although he had a photographic memory, there was a lot of knowledge that had to be learned and used flexibly. Rote memorization might not be useful. In addition, although he was a freshman, many top students were already doing research in the laboratory. They had their own research topics and research directions. In this aspect, Tang Jing was lagging behind too much. This caused some criticism. His mentor was Qi Shaoan, a great figure. However, Tang Jing did not have a single thesis. This was a little embarrassing for his mentor. Some people secretly criticized Professor Qi for being blind to have picked such an embroidered pillow like Tang Jing. Although Tang Jing was in school, these words had reached his ears through the mouths of the members of the 502. Man strives for dignity and Buddha strives for an incense stick. Although he did not care about these false reputations, he did not care about any theses. After all, his mentor was Qi Shaoan. Moreover, Qi Shaoan treated him very well. He did not want to tarnish his mentor's reputation. Therefore, Tang Jing had to work hard. He did not want to be a top student. Instead, he wanted to be a top student. He carried a bag of professional course books to the library. He took a seat and reviewed the textbooks one by one. He read very quickly. It could be said that he read 10 lines at a glance. Like a scanner, he flipped through the books continuously. Chapter 456. Many pairs of eyes looked at Tang Jing in suspicion or surprise, then looked at each other. Was this brother here to perform? There was no need to use such a clumsy method to attract beauties, because one could tell with a single glance that it was fake. Who could read so fast? Tang Jing was immersed in the sea of knowledge, completely unaware of it. In the end, when he finished reviewing the textbooks he brought, he was still unsatisfied, and there were still some knowledge points that he could not understand, so he went to the bookshelf at the side to look for relevant books to continue learning. He was like a learning maniac, a state that no other god of learning could compare to. Knowledge was like oxygen, quickly being absorbed by him and stored in his mind. One of the biggest characteristics of him reading was that he did not take notes, but when other students saw important knowledge, they would record it in their notebooks. As the saying goes, a good memory is not as good as a bad pen. No matter how good a person's memory was, there would always be times when they would forget. However, Tang Jing had completely broken this rule. Because of his cultivation, his mind had already been developed a second time, and his memory was extremely strong, so he did not have to worry about forgetting at all. Finally, someone recognized this once famous figure in the school and exclaimed, "Isn't he the champion of the martial arts assembly?" "Right, what's his name again?" "Tang Jing." "Right, his name is Tang Jing Sigma. I haven't seen any trace of him in this period of time. I thought he had gone somewhere. Why did he appear again today?" "Putting on a show. He must be putting on a show to deceive the little girl. Look at those girls, they're all looking at him." Someone discussed. "That must be it. He's really crazy using this kind of method to make his presence known. Haha, this is precisely the performance of his stupidity. Who would believe that he's reading a book?" "Yes, that makes sense. Phew. Tang Jing heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally finished reading the relevant knowledge, and woke up from his intoxicated state, just in time to hear the chattering sounds of discussion. The corner of his mouth curled up as he smiled indifferently. Just as he was about to ignore them and leave, he saw a person walking straight towards him. Cries of surprise rang out, and the discussions became even more intense. That's Ding Xiaowan. Why did she walk over? Could it be that she was attracted by such poor acting skills? Someone was indignant and in disbelief. I remember that Tang Jing is from the archaeology department, and Ding Xiaowan was originally from the archaeology department as well. However, I don't know what happened later on, but they transferred to another academy. He must know him, so go and greet him. Tell him not to continue with such a clumsy performance so as to not become a joke. Yes, that must be it. Hearing that, Tang Jing raised his eyebrows. He was not angry but surprised. It had indeed been a while since he last saw Ding Xiaowan. Ding Xiaowan had met him on the train, and the process was not pleasant. Tang Jing had once judged her as a brainless fan of Takashi. She had a good relationship with Takashi, but after Takashi was possessed by the demon god and killed her two good friends, she still insisted that it was Tang Jing who did it. Later on, she almost died in the hands of the demon god. Fortunately, Tang Jing saved her and she was sent to the hospital. After that, the two never met again. It seemed that her injuries had already healed and she had even transferred to another department. Tang Jing did not have much of a good or bad impression of her. Although the other party was beautiful, Tang Jing had seen too many beauties, and his eyes had long since been raised to the point that he could directly ignore her. He pretended not to see it and started to pack up his books. Just as he was about to leave, he saw Ding Xiaowan sitting down beside him, staring at him with a burning gaze, and said, "Tang Jing, I have something to say to you." As Tang Jing packed up, he said, "Speak." "Thank you for saving me last time. It's just along the way," Tang Jing said indifferently. Ding Xiaowan squeezed out a lonely smile and said, "That person is no longer Takashi, right?" Tang Jing raised his head and looked at her, only to discover that her eyes were filled with pain. But thinking about it, she definitely had a good impression of Gao Daji, but the other party wanted to kill her. This kind of huge reversal was hard to accept. "Yes." Tang Jing nodded. "He's no longer in this world?" "Yes." Ding Xiaowan's entire body seemed to have been sucked out of him as he sat paralyzed on the chair. After a long while, he finally came back to his senses and said, "I still have to apologize to you, I misunderstood you in the past." "I'm not that petty." Tang Jing shrugged. "If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. The way you were reading just now was a little strange. Everyone else was discussing it." Ding Xiaowan kindly reminded him. Tang Jing said indifferently, "I know, but I don't care what others say." Ding Xiaowan had no choice but to admit that Tang Jing was such a unique person. Recalling the bits and pieces that they knew, Ding Xiaowan had no choice but to admit that she had misjudged him. The other party was very powerful and it was against common sense, causing people to be extremely shocked. She had to admit that Tang Jing was much stronger than her. "Let's go together," Ding Xiaowan said. "Let's go." Tang Jing ignored the murderous gazes of the others. He could even hear the sound of many people's hearts breaking. Perhaps in the eyes of many people, Ding Xiaowan was both a top student and a goddess, but in Tang Jing's eyes she was still too stupid. In the end, he was not interested in women who were too stupid. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the two of them walked out of the library together, but the library was in an uproar. Many people were discussing this kind of method of picking up girls was also effective. Could it be that all the girls nowadays were so easy to pick up? A few days later, a strange scene appeared in the library. Some boys quickly flipped through the books like a scanner. Unfortunately, all they received were supercilious looks, and not a single girl favored them. Tang Jing and Ding Xiaowan parted ways after leaving the library. With regards to Ding Xiaowan's invitation to have a meal together, he rejected it without hesitation. It was already late, so he put the books back in his room and walked towards Lu Qingmei's house. Just as he walked out of the school gate, an off-road vehicle stopped in front of him. The door opened and a black-faced man walked down. He said with a face full of smiles, "You are Tang Jing?" Tang Jing nodded. "Yes, who are you?" "My name is Blackie." "Blackie." Tang Jing thought for a while, then suddenly realized, Scarface mentioned you before. Back then, when they were at the bar, Scarface had suspected that Tang Jing was one of Blackie's men, deliberately causing trouble. This meant that Blackie was also someone from the underworld of the capital. Hearing that, Blackie was flattered and said excitedly, "You know me? What an honor. What business do you have with me? I'm here to thank you for helping me get rid of Scarface. He's my sworn enemy and I've tried to get rid of him many times but to no avail. I didn't expect you to help me so easily," Blackie said with a smile. Tang Jing did not care about the grudge between the other party and Scarface at all, and said, "Is there nothing else?" Seeing that Tang Jing was unwilling to say more, Blackie hurriedly said, "Qin Badian is my big brother." "Qin Badian, you're his younger brother?" Tang Jing asked in surprise. "No, I'm his little brother. It's just that my big brother doesn't care about the underworld anymore, so I'll take care of it," Blackie explained. Tang Jing was suddenly enlightened. He knew that Qin Badian was originally from the underworld, and relied on his own abilities to make a name for himself in the capital. However, after that, he washed his hands of the gold basin and no longer managed the matters of the underworld. It seemed that he had unintentionally helped his little brother. Tang Jing revealed a trace of a smile and said, "Since you're his little brother, then there's no need to be so courteous. It's just a small matter." Blackie let out a sigh of relief, thinking that his big brother's name was indeed useful. He said, "I'm here to tell you something. Scarface is from the Chu clan, and even though you've gotten rid of him, the Chu clan may not let this matter rest. You have to be careful." Chu clan. Tang Jing wrinkled his eyebrows as he did not have a good impression of the Chu clan. Both sides had already crossed swords several times and were mortal enemies. This time he had unintentionally gotten rid of someone from the Chu clan. According to their style, they would definitely not let this matter rest. However, Tang Jing was not afraid. Since he was not afraid of the Long clan, then naturally he would not be afraid of the Chu clan. "Thank you for telling me this." Tang Jing nodded his head. "I just told Big Brother about this matter, and Big Brother said that he will personally go to the Chu clan to make peace, hoping to appease the Chu clan's anger." Blackie said. "He went to the Chu clan? Why did he have to mobilize so many people?" "Big Brother said that you saved sister-in-law's life, so he definitely can't let the Chu clan vent their anger on you," Blackie said. Tang Jing sighed. With Qin Badian's ability, he definitely already knew his identity as a cultivator. However, at this crucial time, he still dared to go to the Chu clan to plead on his behalf. "Qin Badian is truly a loyal man worth befriending," Tang Jing sighed. His mind moved and he said, "Bring me to the Chu clan." He was not afraid of the Chu clan, so there was no need for him to plead with them. "If you go to the Chu clan, I'm afraid that it will ignite the Chu clan's anger. It will be like a sheep entering a tiger's den, and it will be very disadvantageous for you," Blackie advised. It won't be that easy to harm me. Just bring me there directly," Tang Jing said unconcernedly. Seeing that he was so insistent, Blackie could only helplessly say, "Then get in the car." The off-road vehicle sped towards the Chu family. The Chu clan's residence was not in the city, but in the beautiful suburbs. Tang Jing and Hazy were casually chatting when suddenly, his ears slightly trembled as he called out, "Be careful." So, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar, and a ray of light flew over from the horizon. It was incomparably bright and resplendent like the sun. Blackie's speed was very fast and he immediately turned the steering wheel. The car suddenly moved horizontally and stopped in the middle of the road. A ripping sound rang out and a wave of air rolled out. The car was pushed by a huge force and it crashed into the side of the road. A gust of wind blew in from behind, and the two of them turned their heads to look. They saw that the back half of the car had already disappeared, and it flew far away. The car seemed to have been split in two by some kind of sharp weapon, and if it was not for the fact that they had hurriedly moved horizontally, this kind of power would have cut them in half. Even a golden immortal would not be able to save them. Blackie was still in shock and he loudly cried out, "What happened?" This kind of attack was too terrifying. It did not seem like a bomb or rocket attack, but more like a sword that cut through the car. Chapter 457. The off-road vehicle broke apart, and the two of them reacted very quickly. They turned their heads to take a glance, then kicked open the car door and jumped out, looking at the road ahead warily. At this moment, a person was standing in the middle of the originally empty road. It was a skinny old man. He was like a bag of bones, exuding a sense of vicissitudes. However, his eyes were very bright and killing intent flashed. In addition, he was holding a large saber in his hand. The blade was like snow, and it was suffused with a biting cold light. "Who are you?" Tang Jing's eyes were like lightning as he stared at the other party and asked. "Hehe, your reaction is quite fast. You actually escaped from this saber," the old man said with a laugh. However, his laughter was even more dry, as if it had been squeezed out from between the cracks of a stone. In addition, his appearance when he laughed was even more terrifying, causing people to panic. Hazy glanced at the large saber in the old man's hand in shock, revealing an expression of disbelief. That attack just now was actually caused by this large saber. This was too terrifying. To be able to split open a car with a single saber, what kind of divine weapon was this? However, Tang Jing did not change his expression. He had already seen that this was indeed a treasured saber, but it could not be considered a divine weapon. The most important reason for it to have such power was that the other party's skills were sufficient, which was why this large saber could turn something rotten into something magical. As for who I am? Let's see if you have the qualifications to know first. The old man's feet slipped, and he slid over a distance of several meters, directly arriving in front of the two of them. Hazy let out a low roar and threw out a punch, preparing to stop the other party. However, his collar was grabbed by Tang Jing, and he came to an emergency stop. Tang Jing's voice rang out behind him, "You're no match for him. Watch the battle from the side." Whoosh. Hazy was helplessly pulled to the side, and could only stare at the two people who were already approaching. Tang Jing pointed out with a finger, and the dazzling blade had already reached the top of his head. Tang Jing's finger touched the blade and he lowered his body and slid under the blade, not being injured at all. As expected, you have some ability." The old man's eyes lit up as if he had seen a predator. He turned his blade and attacked again. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already exchanged dozens of blows. Although Tang Jing had not yet been defeated, it was obvious that he was at a disadvantage. However, his swordsmanship was very exquisite, and he could often catch his opponent off guard and help him out at critical moments. The battle between the two was dazzling. Hazy watched as if he was intoxicated. He clicked his tongue and praised, "This kind of battle is too powerful. It's filled with the beauty of strength." However, the person involved did not feel much of a sense of beauty, at least not for Tang Jing. He could already confirm that the other party was a grandmaster martial artist. There were not many martial masters in this world. Could it be that the other party was from the martial arts sect? But that was not right. Martial had always been by his side, so it was impossible for him to send someone else to kill him. Other than the martial sect, there was also the Li Palace and the Azure Dragon Palace. When Li Xiaotian left, she was deeply worried. She had seen so many mysterious things in the prehistoric heavenly tomb and the Buzhou mountain that could not be revealed to outsiders. Perhaps she had already realized the power of cultivators, and perhaps she would send people to deal with him. Other than these few mysterious organizations, the only ones left were the few great families and the officials. Tang Jing had seriously analyzed that for this country to be able to stabilize and flourish, it was impossible for it to be realized without a foundation. Although firearms were also a type of foundation, in the eyes of these ancient families and organizations, personal strength was the true foundation. This was a strength that no one else could snatch away. If the country was peaceful, then the officials would definitely raise experts. These experts would be their foundation and trump cards. When he was in southern Yunnan, although Tang Jing had intimidated the military, he might not be able to intimidate the people in his residence. Therefore, he could not rule out the possibility that someone had sent an official expert to deal with him. No matter what the situation was, the only thing Tang Jing could do was to resist and send a signal to others. "I, Tang Jing, am not someone to be trifled with. Tang Jing, you are not my match. Obediently accept your death." The old man sneered, his face stiff like a zombie. "If you want me to die, this bit of ability might not be enough." Tang Jing said in disdain. He soared into the air, a light flashed in his hand, and he had already pulled the bowstring of the heaven-shocking bow, knocked the shooting sun arrow on the bow and aimed it at the old man. The old man did not dodge or give way and said, "Legend has it that back then your bow even injured the demon god. Hehe, I was fortunate enough to see it, but I wonder if your bow is stronger or if the blade in my hand is stronger." Tang Jing remained unmoved, his fingers were as steady as the surface of an ancient well. Suddenly, his fingers released, and the shooting sun arrow released a buzzing sound, quickly shooting towards the old man. The old man's expression was serious as he praised, "Good weapon." Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The broadsword waved forward 3 times, and the chi in front of the old man was completely locked down by the broadsword. When the shooting sun arrow arrived in front of him, it affected the chi and the broadsword accurately hit the shooting sun arrow. Ding! The shooting sun arrow bounced back. Tang Jing leaped into the air, stretched out his long arm, grabbed the shooting sun arrow and shot it out again. This time there were actually 3 shooting sun arrows on the heaven-shocking bow. The 3 arrows shot out at the same time, from top to bottom, aiming straight for the old man's vital points. The old man's expression did not change and he said, "Amazing, I'll let you take a look at my sunset blade technique." The sunset blade technique's blade pierced through the sky like the setting sun, erupting with a final dazzling light. This blade seemed to have used up all of his power. Actually, the sunset blade technique only had one move. It was a simple move, but it contained an enormous amount of power. It was much more powerful than the flashy blade techniques. At this moment, the broadsword turned into a setting sun, slashing down. Clang clang clang. The 3 arrows were completely blocked, but the broadsword's attack did not slow down, and actually attacked right in front of Tang Jing's eyes. Tang Jing's expression changed slightly. The 3 arrows were shot at the same time, but they were still unable to block the other party, and even gave the other party a chance to take advantage of it. This sunset blade technique was indeed extraordinary. However, he did not have the time to exclaim in surprise. Seeing that the broadsword was already in front of him, he did not have the time to pull the bowstring again. He grabbed forward with both hands, and a mental cultivation method suddenly circulated in his heart. A mysterious power spread out from his palms. The broadsword that was like a hot knife through butter stopped right in front of his nose. It was extremely dangerous. What's going on? The old man's expression suddenly changed as he cried out in alarm. He felt a strong suction force tearing at the broadsword, and it was at risk of slipping out of his hand at any time. Tang Jing was too familiar with the mental cultivation method that was circulating on its own, because this was a set of mental cultivation methods from the demon clan. Back then he had learned the only set of cultivation methods from the demon clan's jade tablet, heaven-devouring technique. This set of cultivation methods was not as vicious as the other cultivation methods of the demon clan. One only needed to cultivate silently. Back then, Tang Jing had used the heaven-devouring technique to absorb items like chairs. Later on, because of the heaven-shocking bow and the sun-shooting arrows, this set of cultivation methods was gradually put aside. But at this moment, at the critical moment of life and death, this mental cultivation method actually circulated on its own. However, this was not what surprised him the most. What truly surprised him was that the power of the heaven-devouring technique had increased greatly. Even he could not help but be shocked by the boundless suction force. Whiz! The broadsword left his hand and the old man let out a strange cry of disbelief. He watched as his weapon disappeared into thin air in front of him, as if it had never appeared before. What's going on? The old man turned pale with fright. Tang Jing could not answer this question. With his previous attainments in the heaven-devouring technique, it was impossible for him to devour the broadsword from the old man's hands. After all, a warrior's second life was their weapon. Some people even valued their weapon more than their own life. If the sword was destroyed, the person would die. If the blade was still there, the person would still be there. If the blade was broken, the person would still be there. This was the principle. One could imagine how difficult it was to snatch the weapon from the hands of a master stage warrior, but Tang Jing did it in front of everyone's eyes. He's the head of the Chu clan, Chu Chongyang. A cry of surprise broke the silence between the two. Hazy shouted with a pale face. Of course he did not know Chu Chongyang, but he had heard of the setting sun blade technique. This was the ultimate skill of the head of the Chu clan, and he was the only one in the Chu clan who knew this set of blade techniques. It was very difficult for ordinary people to see such an ultimate skill, but Hazy did not expect that he would have such an honor. However, he really did not want to have such an honor. He hoped that he would never see this set of blade techniques in his life, because seeing this set of blade techniques meant that the god of death was waving at him. Didn't Big Brother go to the Chu clan to make peace? Could it be that the negotiations broke down? Hazy thought in bewilderment. Chu Chongyang, who has not shown his face for many years, actually came personally to kill Tang Jing. This is too much. Tang Jing's heart moved and he stared at the other person curiously. This person was actually the head of the Chu clan. No wonder he was so powerful. The enmity between him and the Ye clan could not be resolved, so it was not wrong for the other party to kill him. Therefore Tang Jing was not angry but was slightly surprised. The other party was really willing to go all out to get the head of the Chu clan to act. What kind of technique did you use? Chu Chongyang came back to his senses and asked coldly. Tang Jing picked up the shooting sun arrow and smiled faintly. You wouldn't know even if I told you. Cultivators are really mysterious and powerful, but because of this, it is all the more reason to eliminate you from this world. Chu Chongyang said with a murderous look. You don't even have a weapon, do you still think you can kill me? Tang Jing asked in return. Although your spells are marvelous, your cultivation is definitely not as good as mine. Therefore, even without a weapon you are still not my opponent. It is precisely because the Chu clan already has an enemy like you that we cannot let you continue to grow stronger. If we don't get rid of you now, there will be no end of trouble in the future, Chu Chongyang said firmly. Tang Jing's eyes flashed coldly. The other party was really smart. He knew that the longer he waited, the harder it would be for the Chu clan to deal with him. Now was a golden opportunity. Since you are so confident, then come, Tang Jing said without fear. Hazy was so scared that he trembled. His mouth and tongue were dry. They hadn't even started fighting yet, but they still had to fight. What should he do later? No, I have to contact Big Brother. Hazy was out of his wits. He secretly sent a message to Qin Badian, then leaned against the car window and stared at the two people. Chapter 458. Tang Jing's pupils constricted. He stared fixedly at Chu Chongyang, who was waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Seeing that the other party did not make a move, Tang Jing sneered, "If you don't move, I'll move." He grabbed at the air, and a strong suction force appeared in his palm. The power of the heaven-devouring technique was extraordinary. Just now, he had a flash of inspiration and finally understood why the heaven-devouring technique's power had increased explosively. Obviously, all of this had something to do with Qiyu's heart. Qiyu was the ancestor of the demon clan, so he definitely knew how to use the heaven-devouring technique. Coincidentally, Tang Jing had also cultivated the heaven-devouring technique, which was why the power of this technique had increased so much. Seeing that Tang Jing was attacking, Chu Chongyang had no choice but to counterattack. He pointed his finger and a burst of qi shot out like a sharp arrow. Tang Jing suddenly remembered that Tian Chanzi had once revealed a consummate skill. The sword qi had condensed into a materialized sword, shocking everyone at Yen Potion's birthday banquet. Chu Chongyang's attack only caused a violent fluctuation in the air, forming an invisible force in the air. However, Tang Jing could clearly feel that this was not some sword technique, because there was not the slightest bit of sword intent within it. This is a finger technique. Tang Jing cried out involuntarily. Your eyes are not bad. This is the 6 Yang divine finger, extremely masculine and masculine. Chu Chongyang raised his eyebrows and said proudly. This was the Chu family's ultimate skill, unlike the setting sun saber technique that Chu Chongyang had created himself. This 6 Yang divine finger was the blood and sweat of many generations of the Chu family. Only the head of the family could cultivate it. Even Chu Mingxian had not cultivated it yet. This set of finger techniques had very strict requirements for the cultivator's body, and had to have sufficient Yang Qi. Chu Xiaofeng had once coveted this set of finger techniques, and had failed to succeed even after coaxing and pestering. Furthermore, his body had been hollowed out by wine and women, so cultivating this set of finger techniques was half the result with twice the effort. The force of the attack was the unique inner strength of the martial warriors. It was activated using a special method and circulation path, thus achieving the goal of lasting and great lethality. The most masculine and masculine, I don't think so. Tang Jing gave up on using the heaven-gulfing technique. He waved his hand and a 4 symbols venerable appeared on the road out of thin air. Fortunately, this section of the road only led to the Chu clan's mansion, and no other vehicles passed by. Otherwise, the appearance of such a huge monster out of nowhere would definitely cause a huge panic. The 4 divine symbols was no longer a secret, so Tang Jing had no qualms about using it. With a leap, he disappeared into the 4 divine symbols' body. The Reverend of 4 symbols raised his foot and stomped down on Chu Chongyang's head. Chu Chongyang pointed out with his finger. With a poof, the force landed on the Reverend of 4 symbols, but he was unharmed. However, the 4 symbols venerable's foot landed on his head. Chu Chongyang's face turned pale with fright and he rolled to the side. He was battered and exhausted. Ever since he became famous, he had never been in such a sorry state. Hazy, who was watching from the side, was already stunned. Just now, he was still worried about his gains and losses, and was prepared to run away if things went wrong. However, at this moment the tables had turned and Tang Jing had actually turned into a giant. Is this an illusion? Hazy rubbed his eyes to make sure that this was not an illusion. He smacked his lips. Is this an immortal technique? This was indeed beyond the limits of an ordinary person's imagination. This was also beyond Chu Chongyang's expectations. He attacked a few more times, but he could not do anything to the 4 divine symbols. Not to mention bare-handed attacks, it was difficult for a normal weapon to leave a mark on the 4 divine symbols' body. The reason why Tang Zheng was so confident was because he had the 4 divine symbols as his guardian. In the past, the 4 divine symbols Venerable protected the shaman tribe. Now, the 4 divine symbols Venerable was protecting him. Since the other party was weak, then Tang Zheng would not be polite. With a loud roar, the roar came out from the 4 symbols Venerable's chest. It was like the sound of thunder rumbling, causing one's heart to pound like a bell. Bang! With a kick, sand and pebbles flew, and a huge pit appeared on the cement road. Chu Chongyang brushed past the pit by a hair's breadth. Dust covered his face and he was covered in grime. When the first attack did not hit, another attack came and it was endless. Although the 4 divine symbols Venerable was a colossus, his agility was not low. He relied on his indestructible body to launch thunderous attacks. In the beginning, Chu Chongyang could still handle it with ease, but later on he could not make ends meet. Danger surrounded him and he became more and more miserable. He was so angry that his beard blew and his eyes widened. He shouted angrily, "Tang Zheng, what kind of sorcery is this? Humph, didn't you want to kill cultivators? This is a cultivator's method. How about it? Can you still confidently kill me now?" Tang Zheng asked disdainfully. Chu Chongyang's face flushed red and he could not say anything. Tang Zheng was delighted. These great clans really thought that he was number 1 in the world. They ordered him around arrogantly as if they were high and mighty. The Ye clan was like that, and so was the Chu clan. However, because of Yi Dingdang he could choose to ignore the Ye clan, but the Chu clan was not so lucky. Moreover, they were sworn enemies and the other party took the initiative to attack and wanted to kill him. Therefore he would not show mercy at all. However, Chu Chongyang was a 2nd-level Supreme Power Master after all. It was impossible to kill him easily. Chu Chongyang tried to attack a few more times but he still failed. No, it's not good for me to go on like this. This guy is invincible with this colossus. I have to leave first and think of a way. This thought instantly made him make preparations to retreat. Although it was very difficult to make this decision, he was decisive and didn't hesitate. He turned around and rushed in the direction of his home. "You want to escape?" Tang Zheng shouted angrily and chased after him. Az was stunned. A Supreme Power Master wanted to escape when facing Tang Zheng. This was too crazy. Chu Chongyang's speed was very fast. Although the 4 symbols Venerable was not slow, he could not catch up with him. However, how could Tang Zheng watch him escape? If he missed this great opportunity, who knew where Chu Chongyang would hide in the future? Therefore, Tang Zheng moved his mind, and a cloud of black smoke jumped out from the chest of the Venerable Thought and chased after Chu Chongyang lightly. Chu Chongyang turned his head and found a cloud of black smoke chasing after him. He was shocked and said, "What kind of sorcery is this?" This cloud of black smoke was obviously faster than him. In the blink of an eye, it caught up with him and enveloped him. Oh no! He instinctively sensed the danger and used the 6 Yang divine fingers. Puff puff puff. Waves of chi surged and blew away the black smoke. However, the black smoke seemed to have a consciousness. It gathered in an instant and attacked him head-on, wanting to envelop him. Chu Chongyang had no choice but to use the 6 Yang divine fingers continuously. Fortunately, this set of martial arts was really powerful. He was able to disperse the black smoke by the skin of his teeth several times, saving his life. However, he still could not figure out what this black smoke was. Humans had an instinctive fear of unknown threats, so he became more and more flustered. After such a delay, he had no way to escape. The 4 symbols Venerable Thought caught up with him. What the hell is this? Chu Chongyang roared in exasperation. Dragon trapping rope. Is something that can restrain you. However, it's really overkill. You're at most a worm, not a dragon. Tang Zheng moved his mind, and the black smoke suddenly went straight down, turning into a thin line. It quickly wrapped around Chu Chongyang's ankle and then went straight up, wrapping around his entire body. Chu Chongyang heard this and flew into a rage. He was the head of a family, but he was jokingly called a worm. It was really humiliating. However, there was nothing he could do. Of course, he would not sit still and wait for death. Seeing the dragon trapping rope go straight up, wanting to bind his entire body, he gritted his teeth and flicked his fingers quickly. Swoosh, 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 gusts of wind shot toward the dragon-trapping rope around his ankle. The dragon-trapping rope trembled violently when it was hit. Although the dragon-trapping rope was a magic weapon, it was not as indestructible as the four symbols Venerable thought. It was damaged by the attack and involuntarily relaxed a little. However, Chu Chongyang's situation was not optimistic. The 6 Yang divine fingers did not all hit the dragon-trapping rope. Some of them hit his ankle directly. He grimaced and sucked in a breath of cold air. Blood oozed from his ankle and dyed his trouser leg red. I haven't hurt you for many years. I didn't expect to be defeated by you today. Chu Chongyang roared hysterically. Tang Jing snorted and did not comment. He punched out. The four symbols Venerable thought's huge fist broke through the air and went straight for Chu Chongyang's head. Chu Chongyang's other foot touched the ground and retreated, dodging the attack. However, the four symbols Venerable thought followed him like a shadow and caught up with him. Chu Chongyang's leg was injured, and his speed was already on par with the four symbols Venerable thought, so there was no hope for him to escape. Chu Chongyang's face was as gloomy as ink. He thought to himself, could it be that I, Chu Chongyang, am really going to meet with Waterloo and lose my life in this brat's hands? He was unwilling and could not accept this result. Stop. Suddenly, a furious roar sounded out, and a convoy rushed over aggressively. On the convertible at the front, there was a person standing high up, roaring at the four symbols Venerable thought. This person was Chu Mingxian. Back then, at Yen Potion's birthday banquet, Chu Mingxuan's bones were crushed by Tian Chanzi, and then he was cured by the King of Medicine. Although a few months had passed, his cultivation had not completely recovered. He was originally pretending to be polite to Qin Badian, but unexpectedly, Qin Badian received a text message and was about to leave in a hurry. Just at this time, Chu Mingxuan's subordinates also came to report that there was an intense battle on the road not far from the mansion. Chu Mingxian originally knew that the patriarch had already gone to deal with Tang Zheng, and immediately realized that this battle was definitely between the patriarch and Tang Zheng. Since Qin Badian was in such a hurry, he must have received the news and wanted to rescue Qin Wenian. How could he allow Qin Badian to succeed? However, it wasn't good for him to obstruct Qin Badian directly. Hence, he led a large number of troops and charged out in an overbearing manner. If he could personally witness Tang Zheng die in front of him, it would truly be a great joy in his life. But when he arrived, what he saw was a scene that he never would have dreamed of. Chu Chongyang was actually beaten up like a dog that had fallen into the water, and a huge monster had appeared at the scene. However, Chu Mingxuan's reaction was also very fast, and he immediately ordered, "Open fire, hit this monster." Bang bang bang. Chapter 459. Seeing that the enemy's reinforcements had arrived, Tang Zheng was even more unwilling to delay. With a stride, he stepped over Chu Chongyang's head. Chu Chongyang's charging body involuntarily stopped. He glared fiercely at the four symbols Venerable who was blocking his way and roared angrily, "You really want to kill me? You want to kill me? Courtesy demands reciprocity. Of course I want to kill you." Tang Zheng roared with murderous intent. Just at this time, those few cars had already rushed in front of them. Crash into them. Chu Mingxian roared. The car engine immediately let out a low roar. The tires rubbed against the ground, causing waves of white light to spurt out. Long tire marks were left on the ground. The car sped up and directly crashed toward the four symbols Venerable. Tang Zheng's expression did not change. With a kick, one of the cars flew into the air and flipped, smashing into a ball of flames in the distance. However, the other cars carried a huge amount of kinetic energy and crashed into the four symbols Venerable's legs. The four symbols Venerable staggered and swayed violently, almost falling down. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and roared, "You want to turn things around with just a few cars? You're looking down on me too much." The four symbols Venerable threw out punches like rain. His fists rained down on the car under his feet. Ping ping ping, the car was instantly turned into scrap metal. Tang Zheng's gaze trembled. He saw Chu Mingxian who was not far away. He was standing on the convertible car, continuously pulling the trigger at the four symbols Venerable. When he ran out of bullets he was still pulling the trigger out of habit. Chu Mingxian, back then Tian Chanzi said that you could be spared the death penalty, but you couldn't be forgiven. He spared your life. Today you can't blame me. Tang Zheng sneered. Chu Mingxuan's face turned pale. His breathing instantly quickened as he asked in disbelief, "You are Tang Zheng? You have some insight." The four symbols venerable laughed. Chu Mingxuan's courage was shattered. This huge monster was actually that brat Tang Jing. Go to hell, Chu Mingxian. Tang Jing shouted. The four symbols venerable pounced over with large strides. Stay here. Seeing this, Chu Chongyang leaped up and landed on the four symbols venerable's body. Kicking off the ground with the tips of his feet, he soared up and reached the four symbols venerable's chest in an instant. Kill. Chu Chongyang roared furiously, and used 3 moves of 6 young divine fingers in succession. Ping, 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 the force of qi crashed into the chest of the four symbols honored warrior. Tang Jing wasn't worried at first, but after taking this attack, his heart started beating violently, and his blood seemed to be boiling. What's going on? Tang Jing was aghast. In the past, the 4 divine symbols had suffered so many attacks, but he had never felt this way. Why was it so uncomfortable this time? The heart. Yes, Chu Chongyang is attacking the heart. It turns out that the 4 symbols warrior also has a gate of life, which is the heart. This is the most vulnerable part. If the enemy breaks through here, then the 4 symbols warrior will be completely destroyed. Tang Jing was shocked by this discovery. He had thought that the 4 symbols warrior was invincible, but it turned out that he also had a weakness. He forcefully endured his roiling qi and blood. Stretching out a large hand, he grabbed at Chu Chongyang. Chu Chongyang somersaulted in the air, dodging this attack, and landed on the ground. Tang Jing exhaled deeply, but didn't dare let his guard down. If he let the other party attack a few more times, then he would be in big trouble. However, because of Chu Chongyang's strong attack, Chu Mingxian escaped from the tiger's den, and retreated far away. The other car didn't retreat because Qin Badian was sitting on it. He had already gotten out of the car and was looking at the 4 symbols warrior dumbfoundedly. He wondered why Tang Jing's voice would come out from this giant car. Could it be that he was controlling this big guy from inside? The methods of cultivators are really mysterious. Qin Badian sighed. Seeing the sorry state of the Chu family's father and son, he felt greatly relieved. The Chu family was showing off. Just now he had taken the initiative to make peace, but the other party put on airs, obviously not agreeing. But now they were beaten into a sorry state by Tang Jing. It was really refreshing. But it was obvious that Tang Jing had used a killing move, which meant that he wanted to kill the Chu family's father and son. Even Qin Badian didn't have this kind of determination. Although he had been doing well these past few years, he still didn't dare to directly become enemies with the few great families. But Tang Jing had the guts to directly kill Chu Chongyang and Chu Mingxian. How much courage did this require? Qin Badian sighed at his own inferiority, but didn't have time to interfere. He only saw the 4 symbols warrior rush in front of Chu Chongyang again. One big and one small quickly began to fight. Chu Chongyang relied on his agility, and although he wasn't a match for the 4 symbols warrior, he was able to escape death a few times. Tang Jing knew that he had to end the battle quickly. This place was not far from the Chu family, and if he delayed for too long, the Chu family's reinforcements would arrive, and it would be even more difficult to kill Chu Chongyang. But he didn't expect that the Chu family's reinforcements would come much faster than Tang Jing had expected. The two of them had only fought for a while when a roar came from the horizon, and a helicopter quickly flew over. A missile flew over and hit the 4 symbols venerable, causing sparks to fly like dazzling fireworks. The 4 symbols warrior took a step back. Tang Jing looked at the helicopter above his head in shock. This missile was obviously more powerful than the one that attacked the witch tribe. The Chu family actually has a missile. These great families really have a lot of resources. Tang Jing clenched his teeth and muttered to himself hatefully. Back then, Yi Tianlei also had a helicopter in the ordinary balance, but that was only a normal civilian helicopter, and this one was a military helicopter. But, with the strength of these great families, it was not impossible for them to have such a powerful weapon. Seeing that this huge object only took a step back and didn't explode, the others were dumbfounded and felt that it was unbelievable. This was a missile, not a bullet. Chu Chongyang quickly got away and shouted, "Shoot! Blast him to pieces for me!" Was. 2 more missiles tore through the air, and the 4 symbols knight hurriedly dodged them. However, one of the missiles brushed past the 4 symbols knight's shoulder and hit a boulder by the side of the road. With a boom, the boulder shattered into pieces and rained down like a drizzle. However, the other one struck the 4 symbols venerable in the chest. With a thud, the 4 symbols venerable was sent flying backward, crashing into a tree on the side of the road. The tree trunk broke and the 4 symbols venerable fell to one knee, barely stopping himself. Buff. Tang Jing spat out a mouthful of blood. His innate qi rolled like a surging river, causing him to feel dizzy. When the others saw this kind of attack, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They stared at the four symbols warrior without blinking. Although they couldn't see Tang Jing inside, everyone was sure that Tang Jing didn't die from the attack. Chu Chongyang had already deeply experienced the power of the four symbols warrior. Seeing that the missile attack was effective, it was as if he had obtained a treasure. He shouted, "Continue to attack, kill him." Whis. The remaining 3 missiles on the helicopter fired one after another, heading straight for the four symbols warrior who was kneeling on one knee. Chu Mingxuan's eyes were red as he clenched his fists tightly. His nails pierced into his palms and blood flowed out, but he didn't feel it at all. He only opened his mouth and said in a low voice, "You must kill him, kill him." Tang Jing dodged. At the critical moment, Qin Badian shouted a reminder. However, it was already too late for him to save the other party. He also didn't think that his body of flesh and blood could withstand such a powerful missile. Tang Jing wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and hurriedly circulated his energy to calm his agitated innate qi. His eyes were bloodshot as he shouted, "You want to kill me? Go to hell." His legs that were kneeling on the ground suddenly bounced up. The four symbols warrior soared into the sky and somersaulted in the air, brushing past 2 missiles. He stretched out his hand and actually grabbed one of the missiles, throwing it in the opposite direction. This missile let out a sharp whistle as it tore through the air and flew towards the helicopter. Seeing this, the pilot of the helicopter was so scared that his soul left his body. He hurriedly rose into the air to dodge, but it was already too late. The missile accurately hit the helicopter. With a rumble, the helicopter turned into a cloud of sparks. Catching a missile with his bare hands and returning the favor with the other party's method. This move was incomparably dazzling, causing people to be intoxicated and dazzled. In any case, the spectators on the ground were all dumbfounded as if they had been cursed. "Run!" Chu Chongyang shouted. He made a prompt decision and turned to run like a madman. Chu Mingxian seemed to have woken up from a dream and also turned to run. "Wanna run? No way." The four symbols warrior was still in midair. With a bang, his feet landed on the ground, kicking up dust as he directly blocked Chu Chongyang's path of retreat. Chu Chongyang grimaced and shouted, "Those who block me will die." Both of his hands shot out and his 10 fingers flicked. Streams of qi accidentally shot at the four symbols warrior's chest. Tang Jing's qi and blood surged again and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Oh no, the four symbols warrior can't take it anymore. Somehow, Tang Jing actually had the illusion that he was about to fall apart. He turned pale with fright. If the four symbols warrior was really destroyed, it would be an unimaginable loss for Tang Jing. However, this was not enough to take Tang Jing's life. He immediately flew up and kicked Chu Chongyang in the stomach. Chu Chongyang flew out like a cannonball, leaving behind a red line in the sky. Tang Jing immediately drilled out of the four symbols warrior's chest and kept the four symbols warrior into his sumeru ring. After taking this kick, Chu Chongyang's injuries were not light, but he still did not dare to stay any longer. His body somersaulted in the air, stabilized his body, and then rushed into the distance. "You want to escape? Hand over your life." Tang Jing took out his heaven-shocking bow and shooting sun arrows. It was not one shooting sun arrow but a total of 6 shooting sun arrows. This time, in order to kill his opponent, he had really put in a lot of effort. The shooting sun arrows flashed, one after another, a series of arrows shot towards Chu Chongyang, as if they were chasing after his soul, flying towards Chu Chongyang. Chu Chongyang did not even dare to turn his head back. He already knew that there were layers of killing intent behind him, and with a flip of his hand, he used his 6-yang divine finger. The qi struck one of the shooting sun arrows, causing the shooting sun arrows to deviate and fly past him. Following the same pattern, 4 consecutive shooting sun arrows were deflected by him using his 6-yang divine finger, allowing him to escape this calamity. However, Tang Jing had used up all of his strength to shoot these 6 arrows at once. His legs were weak and he had already fallen to the ground. He could only stretch his neck to look around. As for whether this attack would succeed or not, he could only leave it to fate. An arrow of blood shot out from Chu Chongyang's chest. Chapter 460. Chu Chongyang was nailed to the ground, not moving at all. Blood flowed out from the wound on his chest, dyeing the ground red. The tail of the arrow on his back was still trembling non-stop, showing the power of the arrow. Tang Jing laid on the ground, watching this scene from afar, and finally heaved a sigh of relief. Chu Chongyang was finally hit by the shooting sun arrow, but no one knew if he was dead or alive. Tang Jing rejoiced a little but also felt that it was unreal. In the past, he had never thought that he could actually kill a great master martial artist. This kind of expert was the pillar of a large family, and could even support a large family. Back then, Yi Xuanji had spent a lot of effort to break through to the great master realm. It could be seen how important a warrior of this level was. But today, a great master martial artist had fallen at the hands of Tang Jing. Of course, Tang Jing was also extremely glad. If he had not used the 4 symbols venerable to injure his opponent first, and then completely destroyed his opponent's confidence and will to fight, he would not have had the chance to use this chain of arrows. 6 consecutive arrows, this was already Tang Jing's limit, which was why he fell down from exhaustion. At this moment, any enemy could take his life. However, everyone's attention was still firmly attracted by Chu Chongyang, who was lying on the ground. Their minds were filled with an earth-shattering shock. It was as if everything was happening in a dream so unreal. Especially the people of the Chu family, their eyes had almost lost their spirit. Chu Chongyang was like a god in their hearts, unreachable and undefeatable. But at this moment he had actually lost at the hands of a young man. Father. Chu Mingxian seemed to have awoken from a dream as he rushed towards Chu Chongyang in fear. With a plop, he knelt in front of him and turned him around. Chu Chongyang's eyes were tightly shut, the corner of his mouth and chest were dyed red with blood, and the arrow that pierced through his chest flickered with a cold light, overflowing with killing intent. Ah, father, how can you die? Chu Mingxian roared towards the sky, filled with anger, disbelief, and unwillingness. Chu Chongyang's life force was already gone. His life was completely ended by this soul-severing arrow, and the patriarch of a generation had fallen. Tang Jing, I will kill you. Chu Mingxian knew very well what Chu Chongyang's death meant to the Chu family and him. He abruptly turned his head to stare at Tang Jing and roared hysterically. Chu Mingxian put down Chu Chongyang, stood up and walked towards Tang Jing step by step. His eyes were red with killing intent. Tang Jing wanted to fight back, but he couldn't even move his fingers, let alone cast a spell. Killing Chu Chongyang was the best he could do. He did not regret it. If Chu Chongyang did not die today, he would definitely become a big problem for Tang Jing in the future. He would be a serious threat to him. Moreover, Chu Chongyang had already made up his mind to kill him. Leaving him alive in this world, Tang Jing was tired of living. Seeing Chu Mingxian closing in on Tang Jing step by step, it was as if the god of death was slowly approaching him. An oppressive feeling of death instantly enveloped him. Stop! Suddenly, an explosive shout rang out, and a tall figure blocked in front of Tang Jing, blocking Chu Mingxian without yielding an inch. This person was Qin Badian. Shock still remained on his face, but the determination between his brows did not decrease in the slightest as he stared at Chu Mingxian fearlessly. Chu Mingxian was forced to stop in his tracks and growled, "Qin Badian scram?" Qin Badian's expression did not change as he said, "You can't kill him. He killed my father. I want to take revenge for him," Chu Mingxian said as he clenched his teeth. Qin Badian had already figured out the ins and outs of the matter. Chu Chongyang did not hesitate to use his identity as the patriarch to personally kill Tang Jing. However, his luck was bad and he was killed instead. Killing someone, if you don't kill me then I kill you. This was an extremely normal thing. When you kill others, you have to be prepared to be killed by others. This was the most basic awareness. Although I also feel regretful for your father's death, I am indebted to Tang Jing. I will not watch as he is killed. Qin Badian said resolutely. You want to become enemies with my Chu family? Chu Mingxuan's eyes turned cold as he asked. The corner of Qin Badian's mouth curled up as he said, I do not want to become enemies with the Chu family. However, if anyone wants to kill Tang Jing, they can only do so by stepping over my body. The curve of Qin Badian's mouth was an unspoken message. Once Chu Chongyang died, the Chu family would lose their pillar of support. The Chu family would immediately enter a period of decline, and might even be directly wiped off from this world. This was the competition between large families. The law of the jungle was cruel and realistic. Without Chu Chongyang, the Chu family was already like a tiger without its teeth. Qin Badian did not need to be afraid, so he had the courage and confidence to fight against Chu Mingxian. Chu Mingxian was a smart person and immediately understood the deep meaning behind this. His face turned ashen, but he was not willing to retreat and said, Whoever dares to stop me will die with that brat. Qin Badian did not move at all. The meaning of this was self-evident. Qin Badian had completely stood on the opposite side of the Chu family, and the expressions of everyone present changed at the same time. The people of the Chu family were furious. There was actually someone who dared to provoke the Chu family, while He Zi clenched his fists in excitement. Now that the Chu family was no longer powerful, he could snatch even more territory from the other party's hands and obtain even greater benefits. Kill! Chu Mingxian roared and pounced towards Qin Badian. Qin Badian punched out, and there was a faint sound of wind and thunder. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had exchanged more than 100 moves. Qin Badian focused on defense, while Chu Mingxian only focused on attacking crazily. However, Chu Mingxian was still unable to break through Qin Badian's defense, and his actions were useless. Chu Mingxian, you and I are both 6th-stage pre-celestial stage warriors, and you were heavily injured a few months ago and have yet to recover. Therefore you are not my opponent, so there is no need to do useless things. Qin Badian advised. He did not take advantage of the situation to kill the other party. He was different from Tang Zheng. He had too many fetters and was bound by too many formless rules, so he could not act recklessly. Chu Mingxian naturally understood that his skills were inferior, but the blow this time was too big, so he only focused on attacking, attempting to break through Qin Badian's defense. However, Qin Badian's defense was watertight, and there were no openings. Everything Chu Mingxian did was futile. Chu Mingxian, if you continue to force me, then I will not be polite anymore. Seeing the other party pestering him, even the clay figurine was a little angry. His anger was aroused and he said with a gloomy face. His attacks suddenly changed, becoming incomparably powerful. Chu Mingxian retreated step by step and finally fell on his butt, looking battered and exhausted. Qin Badian's fist stopped a millimeter away from Chu Mingxian's forehead, and the wind from the fist made him unable to open his eyes. Give up, I don't want to kill you. Qin Badian persuaded earnestly. Chu Mingxian's eyes looked like he wanted to eat someone, staring fixedly at Qin Badian, but he calmly accepted it and did not look askance. Qin Badian, from now on, you are the enemy of the Chu clan. We will definitely kill you. Chu Mingxian clenched his teeth and said fiercely. Come, I'll take whatever moves you have. Qin Badian shrugged and said indifferently. Chu Mingxian crawled up, pulled out the shooting sun arrow and hugged Chu Chongyang's corpse. He led his subordinates in the direction of the Chu clan, and the atmosphere was incomparably bleak. Qin Badian crouched down and asked, Tang Zheng, how are you? I'm fine, but I need time to recover. Tang Zheng said weakly. He was indeed not heavily injured and only suffered some light injuries. There was no danger to his life, but he still needed to rest for a few days. Qin Badian heard this and nodded, unable to conceal his shock. He praised, You killed Chu Chongyang, yet you are not heavily injured. Truly admirable. Tang Zheng squeezed out a smile and said, This was all based on luck. Moreover, if you were not here, even if I killed him, it would still be difficult for me to escape death. You saved Hongqing's life, so this is what I should do. Qin Badian smiled. Help me put away the bow and arrows. He Zi quickly put it away. Qin Badian instructed. He had seen the power of the divine bow and arrows, so he naturally knew how precious they were. He Zi hurriedly and carefully put away the bow and arrows. He held it with both hands as if he was holding a sacred object. The few of them left, leaving behind only this tragic and messy battlefield. Although not many people had witnessed this life and death battle, the news of this battle was like snowflakes falling from the sky, quickly flying into the ears of those who were interested in the capital. This news caused the blood of the people involved to boil. In this world, how many people had not heard news of a martial scholar dying in battle? Most of the martial scholars died of natural causes. But today, a martial scholar had died, and he was even the head of the Chu family. These people were very clear about what this meant. Many people had already started to plan, preparing to take a bite out of the colossus that was the Chu family. This fellow had already lost his fangs and did not pose much of a threat, so it was the best opportunity to divide and eat. The competition between the various clans and powers was extremely cruel. There was not the slightest bit of mercy to speak of. Every battle was a life and death battle. This huge scheme was immediately unfolded step by step. The various industries of the Chu family were completely attacked, and the powers that were hiding in the dark all raised their heads. In the past they were all docile sheep, but now that they had revealed their fangs, they realized that they were all jackals, wolves, tigers, and leopards. Of course, the attention of the other main character quickly increased. Tang Zheng was originally famous in the capital's circle. Back then he had killed the pre-celestial stage expert of the Chu family, and then caused a ruckus at Yen Potion's birthday banquet. Furthermore, he had retreated unscathed, causing no one to dare underestimate him. Of course, Tang Zheng's identity as a cultivator caused him to become the focus of attention. It was just that no one expected that he would do such an earth-shattering feat in just a few days after returning to the capital, causing people to find it hard to digest. Many people's attitude towards Tang Zheng quickly changed. Those who were originally prepared to secretly deal with Tang Zheng immediately stopped and silently paid attention to Tang Zheng. Chapter 461. Tang Zheng was brought back to Qin Baishan's residence. Li Hongqing was anxiously looking at Tang Zheng, who was lying on the bed, unable to move. She asked with concern, "Tang Zheng, how did you become like this?" Li Hongqing had been poisoned by the evil qi of the 1,000-year blood jade, and it was Tang Zheng who saved her life. Thus she was extremely grateful to Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng squeezed out a smile and said, "I'm fine. I'll be able to move again after a day of rest." He could already feel the true qi slowly being produced in his meridians. A day's time was enough for him to move again. Of course, to return to his peak state there was still a period of time. Qin Badian looked at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze. He still had some lingering fear in his heart, but he was also very excited. He sighed, "Tang Zheng, this time you really did something big. The sky of the capital has been completely pierced by you. The balance has also been completely broken. I think it's going to set off a big storm. You wanted to kill me. If I had let him go, there would have been no end to it. I had no choice but to kill him," Tang Zheng said. "Who knows how many people in the capital want to kill Chu Chongyang? At least the people from the other 3 families all wanted to kill him, but no one was able to do it. Yet you were able to do it. Your name will definitely resound like thunder in the future. However, this is definitely a big problem. Who knows how many people will come to find trouble with me in the future." Tang Zheng helplessly smiled bitterly. "Your identity as a cultivator means that you are destined to become the target of public criticism. Even if this matter did not happen, many people would still target you. However, Chu Chongyang's death is not entirely a bad thing. At least, many people who are not strong enough will not dare to have any ideas about you. In the capital, only the other large families will be a threat to you." Qin Badian was very clear about the depth of the water in the capital. "Among the Yen family, the Song family, and the Ye family, who do you think will make a move on me first?" Tang Zheng asked. Qin Badian pondered for a moment before replying, "The Ye family has a close relationship with you, and Yi Tianlei is an upright person. She and Feng Xinyang will definitely do their best to prevent the Ye family from becoming enemies with you." Tang Zheng secretly nodded. This analysis was very reasonable. The Ye family would not fall out with him for the time being. Among the other 2 families, the Yen family is more powerful than the Song family. Therefore, if the Yen family makes a move, they will be the biggest threat to you. Tang Zheng thought back to Yen Padian and Yen Qishan, this pair of father and son in the Great Master Realm, and his heart shivered. If they were to make a move, then no one in the capital would be able to resist them. The Song family has a grudge with me. Do you think the chances of them making a move are higher? Tang Zheng asked curiously. The Song family has been recuperating for the past few years and has a good relationship with the other families. Recently they have gradually revealed their fangs, and the Song family has already grown to become a big family second only to the Yen family. Furthermore, you have a grudge with them, so the chances of them making a move are not small. Furthermore, you killed Chu Chongyang and challenged the dignity of a few big families. If the Song family were to put you in a formation on the spot, then their prestige in the few big families would be even greater, and it would be enough to raise the level of the Song family. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Oh, in that case I am the stepping stone for the Song family to advance?" Qin Badian nodded, "Yes. But the Song family will also have some misgivings. After all, the strength you displayed this time was too dazzling, so they have to weigh whether or not they can get rid of you. Then it will depend on the courage of the Song family," Tang Zheng said with a light smile. "Tang Zheng, don't worry. You will stay with me for the next few days and I will definitely do my best to protect you," Qin Badian said heroically. "This will only implicate you. Saying this is too distant. If it weren't for you, Hongqing's life would not have been saved, so this is what I should do. Moreover, your temper is very similar to mine. Just like when I was young, I wasn't afraid of anything. Just based on this, I will support you to the end. Qin Badian waved his hand and said resolutely. That's right, Tang Jing. This is our sincerity, so don't reject it. Li Hongqing said with a light smile. Tang Jing was moved. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Actually, his relationship with this couple was not that deep, but they were supporting him like this. This was equivalent to gambling their lives. He secretly made up his mind that once this matter was over, he would definitely find a way to repay them, so that they would not regret this decision. Ring ring ring. Suddenly his cell phone rang. Your cell phone is ringing. Yi Ding Dang, do you want to pick it up? Li Hongqing took out the cell phone for him and asked. Pick it up. Tang Jing guessed that the news of Chu Chongyang's death must have spread, so Yi Ding Dang called. Tang Jing, how are you? After pressing the answer button, Yi Ding Dang's anxious voice floated over, almost as if she was crying. Tang Jing was stunned. He had known Yi Ding Dang for a long time, but he had never seen her cry, nor had he heard such a voice. His heart was filled with mixed feelings as he said, I'm fine. Nonsense, you still dare to say that you're fine? What did you do, do you know? You killed Chu Chongyang, how can you be fine? How are you? Are you seriously injured? Yi Ding Dang was on the verge of tears as she asked in a choked voice. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry. I'm really fine. Liar, you're lying to me. I don't care, no matter how injured you are, I have to go to see you. I have to see you immediately. Where are you? Yi Ding Dang roared. Li Hongqing also heard Yi Ding Dang's voice and quickly gave an address. Tang Jing repeated it, and immediately the sound of running came from the phone. Don't worry, I'll be there right away. Call me if you need anything. After that, Yi Ding Dang hung up the phone. Miss Yi really cares about you, Li Hongqing said with a smile. You're so charming. When can I attend your wedding? Tang Jing quickly said, I'm still a student. College students can also get married. Li Hongqing did not care. Tang Jing was speechless. A moment later, Yi Ding Dang rushed in as fast as lightning. When she saw Tang Jing lying on the bed, she threw herself at him with a whoosh. She hugged him and cried, You bastard, why did you do such a dangerous thing? You made me worried to death. Where are you hurt? As she spoke, her slender hand touched Tang Jing's hand, as if checking if the parts were still intact. It was too embarrassing to be touched by a beauty in front of so many people. Even if Tang Jing's skin was thick enough, he gradually blushed. He coughed and said, Don't touch me, I'm really fine. Nonsense, if you're fine, how can you not touch me? I know your temper. Yi Ding Dang firmly did not believe him. Her small hand went all the way down and Tang Jing's body tensed up. He felt that his most important part had been grabbed. Yi Ding Dang also immediately realized what was in her hand and let go of her hand as if she had been electrocuted. Her cheeks were red. Li Hongqing saw this and laughed. Tang Jing, Miss Yi really cares about you. Yi Ding Dang shyly lowered her head and fiercely glared at Tang Jing as if to say that it was all because of him that she made a fool of herself. Tang Jing felt wronged. I didn't do anything. It was clearly you who came and touched me. I was the one who suffered. Yi Ding Dang confirmed that his body parts were still intact and let out a sigh of relief. If you didn't lose an arm or a leg, then why can't you move? Did you suffer an internal injury? It can be considered an internal injury. I'll go and find the senior king of medicine. He must have a way. Yi Ding Dang had an idea and said, I don't remember. My medical skills are not bad. I can recuperate on my own. After a period of time, I will recover. Tang Jing refused. No, you're too careless. I must find the senior king of medicine to check on you before I can rest assured. Yi Ding Dang insisted. Tang Jing rolled his eyes and was helpless. Tang Jing, this time you did such an earth-shattering thing. Do you know what's the situation outside? Yi Ding Dang asked with lingering fear. Look at me. How can I know? The Ye family has been quarreling because of you. Yi Tianming thinks that they should deal with you immediately. He said that if you dare to kill Chu Chongyang today, you will dare to deal with the Ye family tomorrow. You are a cultivator. You are a bomb that can explode at any time. It's a cliché. Didn't he say the same thing last time? Tang Jing did not take it seriously. You didn't do what you did last time. Of course it's not the same thing. However, my parents argued for it, so the old man has not made a decision. Humph, if the Ye family really becomes your enemy, then I will withdraw from the Ye family. From then on, I will have nothing to do with them. Yi Ding Dang gritted her teeth and said resolutely. Li Hongqing immediately gave her a thumbs up and praised, Miss Yi, you dare to love and hate. You are so bold. You are simply a role model among women. Yi Ding Dang was embarrassed. She secretly glanced at Tang Zheng and said, I just can't stand them for getting justice for the sake of profit. After a pause she continued, not only the Ye family, I heard that the Yin and Song families are also quarreling. Chu Chongyang's death is equivalent to an atomic bomb explosion. The power is too great. Oh, so it seems that these two families will soon make a move against me? If one of them comes I'll kill one. If two comes I'll kill two. As long as I'm here, don't even think about harming you. Yi Dingdang said fiercely like a hen protecting its young. At this moment the other two families were indeed very lively. The 3 generations of the Yin family were all gathered together, and even Yin Qingyi, who did not care about the affairs of the world, was present. Yin Qingyi was a monk and had always been cultivating in the Taoist temple. Ever since Yin Potion's birthday banquet, she had stayed behind and built a Taoist temple in the Dragon Elephant Mountain. She usually cultivated here and could also accompany Yin Padian. Yin Qingyi was dressed in a simple and elegant Taoist robe, and did not have the slightest bit of aura. She sat in the middle of the group with her eyes closed, and listened calmly to their endless discussions. Father, this Tang Zheng relied on his identity as a cultivator to actually kill Chu Chongyang. Such a person definitely cannot be left alive. I guess the martial sect will definitely make a move against him. We should make a move first, and right now is also the time when Tang Zheng is at his weakest. It is a heaven-sent opportunity for us, and it will be too late to regret it if others beat us to it. Last time in the Imperial City I saw that Song Jianan wanted to kill Tang Zheng. I think that this time he will definitely be impatient to make a move. Yin Qishan said. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.